Hello, everybody that's joined us, and welcome to the first annual Sports Rundown Cheltenham Festival Preview Night. We, the guys of Sports Rundown, are a group of sports enthusiasts and friends who like to punt, talk sport, and have a bit of banter. We do a live stream every Friday that involves a live bet-along of a Friday night football, some in-play action, and look forward to the weekend sporting action covering an array of sports, including football, rugby, racing, NFL, golf, and many more. You can check us out on all our socials, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and of course at our website at sportsrundown.com. Links are posted in the description of this stream and our link tree to bring you to all our domains. If you enjoyed tonight, you can always join us next Friday at a stream at 7:30 p.m. GMT here at this exact location. And you can subscribe to our channel and get notifications of our future events. Also, don't forget that we have a free Cheltenham tipping competition up on this week where there's £200 in free prizes for the winner. Simply use the link posted in our link tree to enter that comp and you're good to go. We'll be running giveaways throughout the show tonight, so please get involved in all the social media platforms with comments and questions for our panel. At the end of each race, one lucky viewer will be selected to win a prize from our prize pack. So get involved throughout the show. If you can hear your name called as a prize winner, please DM us on Facebook, Instagram, or tweet us, and we'll be in contact throughout the week. So, okay, let me get you on to our esteemed panel who are waiting in the wings. Firstly, there's Gaz, a resident Sports Rundown panelist that regular viewers will be familiar with, a horse racing aficionado, and a share owner and a horse that's actually running at the festival. We'll hear more about that later, though. We also have Darren joining us, a racing enthusiast and successful punter, and a long-time friend of our show. We then have Brian, an on-course bookmaker from Tipperary, who normally has pitches at all the big Irish meets. Brian has a wealth of racing knowledge and also an angle to the betting from a bookie's perspective here for us. Be sure to keep an eye out for Jerry McDonald bookmakers and any future Irish meets. He'll take any bet, big or small. Don't be worrying about that. And we figure we better bring out a bit of balance to the team. So to avoid complete Irish biasness, we're pleased to be joined tonight by jockey Mattie Batchelor from England. Having been in the game all his life, Matty brings a ton of experience and knowledge to the panel, and hopefully a few untold stories from the weighing room along the way. To add to that, we'll also have a Q&A with Matty at the end of the show, so keep your questions coming in on the socials and stick around to hear the answers at the end. All right, lads, over to you. So how are you all keeping and looking forward to the week ahead?
Yeah, all good. Can't wait.
All set up? All your bets on?
Not allowed to bet, mate.
All right, someone else your bet via Matty. Is that what it is?
Yeah, my dad's bets are on.
Any anti-post bets ruined by the late pullouts there of Erginham and Time Hill during the week?
No, unfortunately, yes. So anybody who's been following Sports Rundown over the last couple of months would have seen our anti-post angle post that was up there probably at the end of January, start of February, and an Erginham featured heavily in that. So I think it was 13-2. We said we were backing her ass. So she was in a lot of ACCAs, doubles and trebles for me, as well as a decent enough single. So not a great way to be starting off the week, but sure, hopefully we'll get out of it towards the end.
Yeah, I had the next destination back for the Brown Advisory. I managed to cash out last night and backing for the 4 miler, so it took 8-1 last night. He's around 4 now.
You're on the ball, so
yeah. Gary got on as well, I think.
Yeah. We just saw the drift as well, so it was like for Royal Pagal. So time to pounce when you see that happening.
Yeah. Matty, while we have you here, you might as well can you fill us in on how jockeys will be feeling in the lead up on this weekend? Like, we're here on the Sunday before Cheltenham, so how would a jockey be feeling about when he has rides going into the Tuesday, Wednesday, like the weekend before?
Like the top boys there who've got really good rides, I think there'd be a little bit of apprehension there, sort of picking and choosing their rides a little bit. I think like normally you'd sort of, I ride that, I ride this. I think they'd sort of stick to ones that they know they've ridden before, because they sort of don't want any unnecessary falls, and especially with the good rides coming up. So yeah, they'd be a little bit picky over over this weekend and probably Monday as well. So hence why I've been called out of semi-retirement and got 2 rides at Plumpton tomorrow. Someone didn't want to go there.
2 surefire winners, right?
Busy week.
Oh, actually, yeah. Mattie Batch double tomorrow at Plumpton.
They're obviously not the greatest jumpers in the world.
Yeah.
Would they be nervous, Matty? Would like the big boys and even anyone, like people, there'd be a few boys there with their first ride too, like they'd obviously be nervous, but would the big boys be as nervous?
No, listen, the likes of Sammy Twiston, Coleman and Dickie Johnson, they've been there and worn the t-shirt, you know. For younger lads going into that WAN room for the first time, I mean, it's probably a little bit unfair on them because they go there. I mean, you throughout your career, you want to get a ride at Cheltenham and you go there, and the best thing there is just the atmosphere with the people. I mean, you could be going around there on a 250 to 1 shot, but everyone's looking at you and you just feel like you almost feel like you've made it. You're riding at Cheltenham, yeah, going down the chute and people cheering. So for them to miss out on that, it's a little bit unlucky, but that's it. I mean, they're still riding at Cheltenham at the festival, and that's our Olympics. You can't beat that.
Yeah, some buzz, I'd imagine. And do you think that the lack of fans will factor in much this week? Like, obviously it will, but how much bearing do you think it'll have on jockeys in the races?
Not so much the jockeys. I think there'll be some horses will benefit and some horses won't. You've got a lot of novices there wouldn't have experienced, if there was a crowd there, they wouldn't have experienced that many people, and it sort of gets them a little bit and a little bit on edge. But then some horses, on the flip side of the coin, you go over that last whatever fences or hurdles and you hear that crowd, it can lift horses and sort of spur them on and give them that sort of extra spur. So yeah, it's like 50-50. Some will help because it'll help them settle down without all the crowds, and the others, they might just lose a little bit at the end there.
Yeah, it'll be a different festival for all of us, that's for sure, in that regard. Just touched you, Brian, very quickly. You're an on-course bookmaker here in Ireland. Obviously, no fans allowed at the races and no on-course bookmakers allowed. So, how has that affected your day-to-day life, I suppose, and what's the looks for the future?
Oh, massively affected us, sure. It was basically 12 months ago was the last time we were on course working, and I don't have any off-course shop or anything, so I was just strictly on course. So it changed my working life 100%. But I suppose comparing, like, obviously I don't work on course at Cheltenham, but like my Cheltenham would be Leopardstown at Christmas, and just like Mattie, us on course bookies, we'd be nervous leading into Christmas. Like, you know, you'd want to be getting off to a good start for the week ahead. Like, it's a huge week for you, huge business, huge turnover. So I suppose I'd feel sorry for the on-course bookies in Cheltenham that are missing out this year. I'm sure they're fairly sickened to be watching this.
Yeah, especially the ones that have no like shop footprint or that high street footprint. Like, it's tough.
Exactly, a massive change, and something like we don't know when we get back or anything like that. So yeah. Massive change.
Right, thanks for that, lads. Just before we get into the nitty gritty, just a couple of admin things to take care of. We have some offers from our friends at William Hill's for tonight. For new signups and some serious specials for Cheltenham throughout the week that we'll reveal through the show. But if you sign up right now, you can take advantage of any of these 3 offers. Option number 1 is to bet 10 and get 50 in free bets in the William Hill Sportsbook. Option 2 is to bet 10 and get 40 in free bets in the Sportsbook and 20 for the casino. Both of them are just live for today. So in our link tree, they're there. If you go in, click them, they're live till midnight. So them offers will expire at midnight. So advantage while you can. There's another one as well. If you fancy City for the football as well on Tuesday in the Champions League, and Appreciate 8 on Tuesday for the Supreme Novice Hurdle, you can take the 2 of them to win at 60 to 1 for new bets, and that's through mobile link only as well, please. Right, without further ado, I suppose as we've different, but one thing will remain the same, and that's our punters' desire to root out the winners and hopefully get one over on the bookies. Sorry, Brian. And hopefully this panel of experts here can help us all towards that common goal tonight. So we'll get into it. We'll get into the action. An intriguing one here, which could turn out to be the race of the festival. Honeysuckle heads the market at 9-4 currently with William Hill, followed by Epitante at 7-4, tied with Goshen at 7-2, with Goshen at 7-2, Abracadabras at 15-2, Sharjah at 10-1, and then 14-1 the field. Gary, what's your take on this race?
Yeah, look, it looks a really good race, as you said, PK. It could be the race of the festival. Thankfully, today we've seen the 48-hour declarations, and this race has held up while some of the rest of them have kind of been cut to shreds with omission. So there's still a decent field going to post, and there's a lot of stories in there. So obviously you've got Epitante on the double, so trying to win back-to-back champion hurdles. You've kind of the Honeysuckle dream story, unbeaten mare going in. Rachel Blackmore, obviously up-and-coming jockey. If they were to win, that would be a great story. And then you've got Goshen looking for redemption after the big fall last year. So there's a lot of great storylines that are out there. From a kind of racing perspective and a betting perspective, well, it's hard to knock Honeysuckle being unbeaten. I'd kind of be against her here. They swerved this race last year to go for the Murray's Hurdle. I don't know whether she's as good over this shorter trip, so I'd be looking to take her on. I think the key to the race is the pace. So at least 4 of the 10 are either front runners or like to be forwards. You have Aspire Tower, Honeysuckle, Goshen, Not So Sleepy. They want to be up there with the pace. So it's not going to be a slowly run affair by any means. I wouldn't say. Anybody again who's following Sports Rundown will know I was keen on Abracadabras, and I still am. So I think that the second in the WKD hurdle earlier on at that Down Royal earlier on the season, that didn't look great for him at the time. But Jason the Militant and Aspire Tower have kind of franked that since. They both ran well, won a couple of races. Then he did well to win the Morgiana next time. It was a very, very slowly run race. That wouldn't have suited him, but he still managed to win it. Scoped dirty over Christmas when a lot of the Elliott runners were running terribly, so I think you can forgive him that run. And then I think Honeysuckle just got away from him. I think Jack Kennedy rode Abracadabras that day, and he thought that Honeysuckle probably went too early. She kicked on a long way from home, and Abracadabras never followed. I don't think that'll happen on Tuesday. I think with the faster pace, Abracadabras will have his eye on Honeysuckle, and with the faster pace, better ground, I think he'll turn the tables there. I have him back at 14-1. 17-2 now is probably around the right price, but I still think there's a bit of each way value there. It should be, I would think, an each way bet to nothing on him.
Yeah, detailed and interesting view there, Gary. Darren, would you agree, or a different angle on that race?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Gary against Honeysuckle. I think the shorter trip, the ground not being heavy, she wouldn't be for me. I'm kind of warming to Epitante. When she won first time out the season, she went into around even money, and then she got beaten by Silver Streak. At even money, I had no interest, so I was looking around, but she's kind of gone to a price where, I'd be slightly interested, but I haven't backed her. Goshen, I just can't have. He had a weird kind of campaign on the flat. He ran poorly there. First time back over hurdles this year, he finished last. And then when he won the Kingwell in Canton, Song for Someone was niggling from the start. So I don't know, he could have been flattered by that run. It'd be great to see him kind of get redemption, but I wouldn't be backing him myself. Like the Sharjah and Abracadabras, they were beaten by Honeysuckle the last time. Abracadabra, I just don't think he's improved from last season. He looked brilliant in the Supreme, really smooth traveller. But I did look at that form line. Aspire Tower beat him 4 lengths at the start of the season. And then he went on to finish second to Sharjah as a 4-year-old at Leopardstown. After he ran in the Triumph last year, he pulled hard, he jumped left. He did well to finish second. Henry de Bromhead pointed him to the champion hurdle straight away. With Honeysuckle, he only put her into it after she kind of demolished the field in the Irish champion hurdle. So he has definitely seen something at home that would suggest that, he must work pretty good in relation to Honeysuckle. And on the track, we've seen he's improved his jumping this season. he's still 20-1. I actually can't believe he's that price. I backed him about 2 weeks ago, 20-1, and he's still available. I think Bet365 are doing 4 places, so I think it's a knock in each way bet.
Yeah, 4 places definitely, Darren. So I'd agree with you there. If you can get a price like that about a decent horse like Aspire Tower, you can't really go wrong.
Yeah, Matty, the boys are siding with Irish horses here. Surely you'll intervene and speak good of the English chances, won't you?
Of course I have. Yeah, of course I have. I mean, Epatante, it's a very appealing price. Considering, yes, you got beat by a Silver Streak at Kempton, but turns out it was like a minor little problem of the back. It's like a pulled muscle. It's nothing, and that's been put right now. So at that price, she's very, very interesting to go back and win it again. For me, Goshen, I want to got into racing or achieved what I've done in racing without the Moore family, Gary Moore, Gary's dad, and for them to go and win that, and after last year triumph would be brilliant, and what for Jamie and his family been going through. But listen, I disagree. I think the Kingwell sort of showed everyone that he's sort of back to himself. He's run on the flats. I don't think they were that bad, and they've changed his whole routine at home. They're just off doing different things, and like Jamie is one of these. He's quite a level-headed person, and he sort of tells it how it is. And like last year, he was so bullish, and he said like, "I will win the Triumph." And everywhere we went on previews and all that, this was a good thing in the Triumph. And he's just as bullish this year, and he thinks the horse is back to his best. So if you take that run from the Triumph, he's got to have a hell of a chance, in my view.
Yeah, strictly on that, but he's he's flattered to deceive since, so you have to take it on a level of trust, I'd say, from a certain angle. But yeah, if he runs that form and he's improved, and he's definitely up there, that's for sure. Brian, how do you see this one faring out?
I suppose from a bookie's point of view, I think this is a cracking race. You have 7 horses there that I suppose at every panel event people would be given a positive spin for. I'd be mad to take on Honeysuckle. Especially if the ground isn't going to be soft, which it doesn't look like. She's exceptional, and in fairness, her last run was her best run. But she just reminds me so much of Apple's Jade, the way Apple's Jade dominated at Leopardstown, that real galloping track and just relentless. And I feel she did that the last time in Leopardstown, and the likes of Abracadabras didn't have anything to tow them along with her. See her spread eagle the field as easily this time. And I feel there'll be people on her tail at all times. So definitely for me, I'd be mad to take her on at the price. There's plenty of dangers. Epatante was exceptional last year. I'd forgive her last run. Nicky Henderson's a master at getting them back. As for Abracadabras, I think he's to be ridden with balls of steel. I mean, jump the last and sit and sit. I think he is about 100 yards of a burst of pace, and that's it. I
think people would say
longer, sit longer. I'd actually compare it to Archibald nearly. I think he's definitely genuine, but just has one sharp burst of speed rather than. I don't think he can set him alight at the home bend, because I think he'd be empty by the back of the last. But there's plenty of others. I think the real interesting horse is the Willie horse, James de Burley. I mean, God knows what that is. You would presume Willie isn't putting it in for no reason. So even that thing's a player.
Chucked in. Could be anything.
It could be anything.
Yeah, that's the...
So, yeah, for me, I'd take on Honeysuckle big time. And I suppose if I had to fancy one, it would be Epatante, but definitely taking on Honeysuckle.
Interesting that you're all against Honeysuckle here. My own personal view, I'd take her because I can't knock her form. I know you're on about the ground, but she's yet to prove it. But she's beaten everything that's put in front of her, and she's a £7 allowance. So I know I had Goshen in the Triumph last year, obviously, as lots of people did. But it'd be a great story if he come back and won it. But I just can't trust him. But I'd say just between us, the divergence in opinion there just goes to show how much of an open race this is and what a cracker of a race it is for a championship race. Like it's a great heat, and as we all said, it could turn out to be the race of the festival. It honestly is just a great race to start this on Tuesday.
It's definitely saving Tuesday anyway, as kind of what I mentioned earlier on. If this wasn't in there, it wouldn't look like a day of racing at Cheltenham at all. So thankfully, it stood up.
To Mattie, if you were riding Honeysuckle, what do you think Rachel will do? Like, at what stage does she take it up and go for home, or like with so much pace in the race?
Yeah, I mean, there is a few front runners, but it's the likes of like Jamie Goshen. He wouldn't have to lead. I mean, round Cheltenham, you've got to assess the situation as you go around. If they've gone quick early, you don't want to sort of take it up too early. And if she's been around the block now. She's, as she says, she's different class, and she had judged the pace. And if she thinks they're gone quick, she's shit. And as you say, she knows she stays. She might say, right, let's go to it. But then I don't think Emery de Rom would let me lead her up, let alone ride her.
And Matty, just on Epatante, so like the fact that Henderson and JP have taken out Bouvouder and just gone in one-handed here, would you take that as kind of a vote of supreme confidence in Epatante, or how would you see it, or would you read anything into it?
You could probably read a number of things into it. You could either say they think Epatante is back to her best and she's a good thing. Let's take Bouvouder to Aintree. Or you could say Henderson's gone to JP saying, look, I think he didn't work well the other day. I think he might need a couple more weeks. Let's forget Cheltenham. Let's go Aintree. There's so many different scenarios, and we could just be sitting all night guessing why they haven't taken it. You just don't know.
Sorry, Brian, a question in from the social there. Would you're bullish against Honeysuckle here? Like, for you as a bookie, like would it be like a big lay? Like, would you be happy enough to like take big exposure on her?
Yeah, well, look, you come to Cheltenham, like as I said, I'd compare Cheltenham to Leopardstown for us at Christmas, but like, we're trucking around to Wexford's, Clonmels, and all your country tracks all year long, looking at maiden hurdles, and not many people in front of you. You go to your Cheltenham or Leopardstown, businesses, you're hoping business is booming. You have a big betting race. You are willing to have a go. Like this could be 20-30% of your whole year. Like, well, that's what you're hoping it is anyway, if it turns out right. Like, you're willing to have a cut here. I suppose you're willing to go harder in a race like this, mainly from a business point of view, because you know the next race coming, you're going to be holding money again. So if there's a result comes along, you can cover yourself. You have a full
week to make it back, like, so you're willing to take, in a race like that early in the week, you're probably willing to take a bit more exposure, like go hard.
Yeah, the stronger the business, the more exposure. Other bookmakers might do the opposite, but I don't know, it's a big week, you have a big chance. Every horse is trying here at the end of the day, like,
What, Brian, what price would you be with her at?
Oh, what price? I suppose if she hit 3-1, that's too big. Like, obviously she's what, 9-4, 5-2 now? Is that?
Yeah.
I'm 9-4. Like, if she's like, she could easily be punted into 7-4 if Appreciated wins and we take it, Shishkin wins. Like, the punters are gonna roll up, and she is the punter's horse, like, so they could.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of those like trebles on anyway,
Yeah.
Or you'll be on them anyway for sure.
Be on the banker accums all week.
Like, it's amazing. Honeysuckle won a point to point. Now, like, if Faheen didn't win a champion hurdle, I don't know when the last point to pointer won a champion hurdle. So, and Faheen was exceptional. So,
yeah, it's an unusual path to take.
It's a very diverse race. There's so many different things. It's just a great race, and I'll enjoy watching it. I'll have a little punt, but like it's just a great race for the viewer. So it is. It's brilliant. So Shane Gallagher is our prize winner from Facebook for commenting. Gary, do you want to tell him what prize he's won there?
He's won a Barry Garrity autobiography. So fair play on that.
Lovely. Congratulations, Shane. We'll get that to you if you comment, sir. Right.
We know Mattie Batchelor won, so we had to get the Barry Garrity ones out.
Not yet.
Maddie's will be out next year. It'll be a bestseller. Don't worry after this stream.
I'd have to retire first before I said much.
You're just waiting to have that chapter about the double at Plumpton in there, Matty.
Yeah, that's it. I'm finished.
All revealed here. Right, so I suppose the natural progression is to circle back on the first day of the first race of the festival, the Supreme Novices. Another it's cut up in the market today. So there's been a few taken out, but Appreciate It leads the betting at 5-4, followed by Mattie at 9-2, Ballyadam at 11-2, Soaring Glory 6-1, and then it's 10-1 thereafter the field. Again, Gary, what would be your take on this race?
Yeah, so my analysis of this race has kind of been hampered somewhat by the fact that the field has been decimated. So Appreciate It, I think he's a deserved favourite. With the bigger field, kind of anti-post, I was looking at this saying he was too short a price. Given that 7-year-olds have such a bad record in the race, favourites have such a bad record in the race. He was beaten when favourite last year for the bumper. I didn't like the way he went up the hill last year in the bumper. He kind of had a bit of a weird head carriage for me. So with those three things out there, I'm still looking to take him on, not as strongly as I would have been a couple of days ago, but I still think he's worth taking on. 5-4, I wouldn't be backing him at that, even though there's potential for him to go off a lot shorter. Metier, he looks the best of the English to me. 90 on the flat, he was rated in Ireland. He does look like he needs soft ground though. And then the form of the Tolworth just hasn't held up at all. So he was impressive there on it was like a bog around Sandown that day. But if you look at the likes of Tile Tapper that was in behind him, I think Tile Tapper was beaten, was it yesterday or today? He was beaten out the gate in a handicap of something like 128 or 129. So he's had a number of runs since that Tolworth and just hasn't done anything to frank the form. So I think Metier is the best of the English, but I wouldn't be touching him. Soaring Glory won the Betfair hurdle, which is, no Betfair hurdle winner has gone on to win the Supreme. There's been a couple that have placed in it, but he won it off 133. He's now up to 143, but that's still kind of £10 lower than Appreciate It is rated on official rating. So he needs to improve again, and whether he's going to take that further step forward in such a short period of time, I don't know. Ballyadam ran well the last day behind Appreciate It, and if he hadn't have kind of bunny hopped the last, he would have got a lot closer, and it might have been a tighter finish. So he's one to look out for. But the one that I've backed in the race is Blue Lord. So he won a maiden. Then next time out was over 2.5 miles against Bob Ollinger. Ran well for a long way in that race, but he ran with the choke out. He was just pulling the whole way around, and he managed to only be beaten 6 lengths that day, which I thought was brilliant considering how hard he pulled. So he came out the last day at the Dublin Racing Festival and got a nice educational ride. Finished third, I think it was about 6 lengths down. I think he could improve again. Appreciate It 7. I think he has no improvement really left in him, whereas this younger horse coming up. So I think he has improvement. He's going to stay on towards the end. I haven't backed that at 16s. I think he's into around kind of 10-1-ish now, which with 3 places, I think is still a good bet. So it'll be Blue Lord for me.
Yeah, it seems decent value. Another nice each way one found for you there, Gary. Matty, who would you be siding with in this list?
Yeah, I think the best of the Irish is Appreciate It. Ballymore, I would give him another squeak at Appreciate It on a different course after his little mistake. If he jumped the last, I agree, he'd definitely been closer. I do like Mattie. It's since winning from Newton, has got down. Yes, the form hasn't really gone his way, but a 12-length victory in that ground to me proves that he has got a very big engine. To do that up the Sandown Hill when Sandown's heavy, that's no mean feat to do that. And I know Sean Bowens, he doesn't. I mean, listen, the ground to be, if we haven't got any rain forecast, the ground's going to be on the soft side, good to soft, because Simon Place always makes it that on the first day. So, listen, I just think he's impressed me with what he's done, the way he's done it, and I give him a big chance. And I know Sean Bowen thinks that the ground, he don't think it's going to hinder him. Put it this way.
Yeah, that's an interesting take there, Matty. Thanks, Brian. Do you see anything? Are you finding any value to beat Appreciate It here?
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this. The more I look at it, I suppose Appreciate It is now, he's plenty short now. He's into 5-4 even money. I thought a 2-1 earlier in the week, he was big. But I suppose he definitely is the horse to beat. He's the right favourite, clearly. I would give Ballymore a big chance of beating him. Just the better ground and just more experience and doing things a little bit more right. Wonder has appreciated the actual pace to win it. Looking at the English, Soaring Glory, as Gary said, won the Betfair off 133. I just went through the last 4 horses that won it that ran in the Supreme. Al Dancer 141, Kalashnikov 141, Ballyandy was 135, and My 10 to Yours was 149. And none of them went on to win a Supreme. So he still has at least another £10 to come up. Irascible, I thought, might have a small chance each way. But yeah, I think the bookies would want to take on Appreciate It, definitely, especially at the price. But it is hard to see him beat as well.
Yeah, he does have the form in him, but the first race at Cheltenham, they usually want to get the favourite beat, all right. Darren, do you have any strong opinions on this race?
I was strongly against the favourite, but then trying to find something to beat him. No, I thought I'd land on something. I don't like that there's only 8 runners now as well. He'll probably win. Probably be like Champagne Fever. He'll take it up. He's not going to get a lead like he would have expected with 15 or 16 runners. Probably going to have to make his own pace. Ballymore is sitting on his tail. They'll all try and do him for toe. He'll probably kick around at the final bend and hold on. Yeah, with Gary's Blue Lord, maybe, I think on Betfair he was still 12-1 there with only 8 runners. He pulled hard against Bob Allinger and finished 6 lengths behind him. He stepped up a bit against Appreciate It. He has 6 lengths to find, but he'd be one. I'll probably leave the race tomorrow. I'm saying that now, when the fucking race kicks off, I'll definitely have the punt.
I've never seen you leave a race before.
You can't not have a punt for the Supreme,
But
even if it's only a little nibble for the sake of it, you just have to. It's just a given. Yeah. But I get it. You don't see much in the race.
I'll probably do a forecast on the day, to be honest.
Yeah, that's it. Appreciate It comes here with the form and trying to find something that beats him, I suppose, is the struggle. But everyone wants to take the favourite on the first race, but that's the struggle. But Blue Lord each way does represent value, as Gary said. So there's something to take away from that. And Matty sweet on Met here as well. So I mean, there's value there too to be had. But our friends at William Hill are offering plenty of value.
Sorry, before you do that, just one quick question for Matty. So Matty, the Supreme is normally a race that's run, at extreme pace. Everybody's excited. The roar is going up. I'm sure that gets the jockeys kind of pulse is rising. Given that there's no crowd, do you think that the jockeys will still be as pumped, or like does that come from the whole? This is I think as Brian said earlier on, this is the Olympics, and all the jockeys want to win, or does the crowd have a massive factor in that, and you think it'll be different?
Do you know what? I think it'd be very different, because if you look at the Supremes gone by, I mean, how many runners have we got at 8? Is that it?
8, yeah.
8 runners. I mean, you're talking there's normally 18, 19, 20. So I don't think there's going to be the big rush like there normally is, because 18 runners, 20 runners, you've got 6, 7, 8, 9 lads that want to make it. Now, some of these, there's 8 runners. There'll probably be 2 or 3 say, I make it. I think they're going to go a sensible gallop. Normally in these championship races over 2 miles, especially the Supremes, this is what I think appreciate, because they thought about going the Ballymore route, didn't they? Stepping him up in trip, but he has shown a bit of toe. Now, a race like the Supreme would have suited him. I'm not saying it's not going to suit him. It would have suited him normally when you go absolutely flat out gallop, because in them sort of races, you still need to stay at the end. And with 8 runners, that might just take that away from him a little bit. And I don't know. Listen, I know he's won over 2 mile. But today, like Tuesday, you've got a couple in there that might just, things like Mattie might just do him for a little bit of toe, or it's going to be a very different race and very interesting watching.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Sorry, PK, I put across you there.
No, you're good. You're good. That was a very apt question. I was going to omit it and leave it off as a good. That was a good subject to touch on. Sorry about that. Let's But yeah, just with regards to the offers, William Hills are offering us for appreciated, if you're interested, 20 to 1 to place, and then 50 to 1 to win for new customers via mobile. So them offers are available on our link tree as well. If you fancy appreciated, I personally can't see him outside the top 3. So if you go for that, there's probably money to be had for any new customers. Regarding questions from the socials, Jim Nolan has come in with a very good one there. Aimed at you, Brian, and I think with regards to the prices we were talking about in the first couple of races, it's very relevant. Who's returning the SP prices these days? There seems to be high odds given in a lot of races, and will that happen at Cheltenham this week?
I don't fully understand how they are being returned. It's the SIS. Obviously, the off-course betting shops are involved in it. I don't know what formula they're using. If they're following the exchanges, if they're taking into the account for the exchanges, I couldn't tell you exactly how it's been formulated. But to me, there seems to be a clear discrepancy as to when the on-course bookies were there, that the top of the market is a good bit below the exchanges, and on the outsiders, they've pushed up much more, which I suppose lots of people who are having 5ers each way and that are delighted to be getting 25 to 1 instead of 20 to 1. But for the big punters, or your normal 50 quid punter or whatever, betting, they're getting fleeced.
Yes,
I think anyway. We were given a much truer show on the prices.
You think that there's a bit of manipulation going on there?
They're getting their percentage at the top end of the market, they're tightening them up. Yeah, which is where the winner is most likely to come out of.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, and I'm not sure if anyone's fully investigated that since the on-course bookies have been sat at home.
No, it's been formally.
That was a good question from Jim Nolan there, and he's also our prize winner, Gary, for this race. So if you'd like to tell him what he's won.
He wins a Grand National book. So, story of the Grand National, the celebration of the world's most famous race. So that'll be in the post.
Congrats, Jim. Be in touch there, and we'll get it out to you. Right, so we'll move sequentially along to the next big race on Tuesday, which is the Arkle over 2 mile trip for novices. Lost Argonne, one of the favourites, so it's altered the market quite a bit. Shiskin is there available at 1 to 2. All Mankind is 4 to 1. Captain Guinness is 17 to 2. Franco de Port 11 to 1, and then the other 2 are 50 to 1 and bigger. The betting suggests Shiskin should be Should win this as long as he avoids trouble. Do you see this going any other way, Brian?
Oh God, it's hard to see it going any other way than he win. He looks exceptional. He looks every inch in the Altior mould. No, I couldn't see it going any other way. Oh, like 3 from 3 over fences. Hitman in Sandown, and Hitman subsequently went on and was very impressive the last time. But still, I think he'll do it well to serve it up to Shishkin. He looks a real top class 2 miler. Another one for Nicky Henderson.
Yeah, he does look very good. And Gary, I'm like, I don't mean to bring up Erginham again, but like he's gone now, so it.
You'll have me crying in a few minutes, PK.
Yeah, no, it just it doesn't.
Come on,
doesn't
Gary,
just
get over it.
Just yeah, go up there, will you?
Yeah, come on, let's move on. He's not running.
Yeah.
I'm just about getting over it. I know I said, like, Joe, I really fancied an Ergman to win this. And again, a couple of days ago, I was fairly bullish against Shishkin. I was thinking that the pace of All Mankind and an Ergman might put Shishkin under a bit of pressure. Joe, if you look back to what happened in the Supreme Novice last year, he was kind of flat to the boards, hit the 4th hurdle, I think it was first off the bridle coming down the hill. Now, obviously, still managed to win, so it was an impressive performance. But my angle into the race was that if they were going that fast over fences, and he made the same mistake he made at the 4th hurdle in the Supreme, he wasn't going to recover from that. I think now with just one real front runner in there, it's going to make things a little bit easier. They probably won't go as fast because All Mankind won't have an Ergman up there pressing them, and they won't be kind of egging each other on. So reluctantly, I'd be in the Shishkin camp. I do think that Franco de Port has a decent kind of outside chance. He won the Grade 1 Leopardstown at Christmas, and he was second to an Ergman last time out. I think All Mankind has his own jumping issues, and then Captain Guinness has jumping issues. And if he doesn't have jumping issues himself, he seems to find trouble like he did in the Supreme last year. So the bet I'll probably have in the day is a Shishkin and Franco de Port forecast, just for an interest, but it'll be small stakes. I think again, you can watch this race. If Shishkin is what everybody thinks, he is, or he's going to be. As a racing fan, you can watch this race without having a bet. As I said, I'll have a 5 or a 10 or a Shishkin Franco de Port forecast for a little bit of interest as well.
Yeah, it's that's where you'll be looking for value, I suppose. Darren, I'm assuming you're in the Shishkin camp too, are you?
Yeah, I was hoping that an Ergman ran against him. I thought Shishkin was the biggest banker of the week, so nothing really to add. Captain Guinness, he was actually going well in the Supreme last year. A horse fell in front of him and brought him down. And the last time he fell against an Ergman, he might be one for the forecast. All Mankind ploughed through 3 fences the last day, still managed to win. He wouldn't be for me, but yeah, Shishkin, move on.
Well, I'll give Matty just his 2 cents here. But what do you think, Matty? Anything to beat Shishkin? No.
Well, I'm disappointed Erginham ain't running, because I thought if he'd win, Tony Bloom might buy us a striker because he's our chairman. Because we need a striker. But no, yeah, I everything I've seen of Shishkin, I agree. All Mankind, he does just make little novice mistakes. And I watched Shishkin at Kempton, and they were coming round the top bend just before the last bend, and Nico de Bonville asked him to come up, and Shishkin went, "What are you doing?" and just danced on the floor like he was like John Travolta. Changed his legs and said, "Leave this to me, Nico. I've got this sorted." And for a novice to do that, that's when I saw that. I thought, yeah, you'll do for me. He just jumps impeccably. The Doncaster race, everyone was saying, "Oh, he jumped a little bit left" and things like that. But if you look at the time of the race, I think it was 5 seconds slow. They didn't really go that quick. And Nico just went, I'll get a lead, I'll get from A to B. And when he revved him up over the last few, he sort of come alive. But round Kempton, he was good. Listen, he's an absolute penalty kick.
Yeah.
All of our viewers have just left to Google, all of our younger viewers to Google who John Travolta is.
John Travolta, yeah.
Yeah, I think the consensus is that if nothing happens, Shishkin wins. But a viewer has Rona Murphy has raised a good question there. That is there any value to be found in the betting without the favourite market here for anyone that just wants to find a different angle punt?
As I said, I think Franco Deporte is a decent bet without the favourite. I'm not too sure what price he is, but Joe. He's one that's guaranteed to get round. The other two have jumping issues, and he'll be willing to stay on towards the end anyway. So Franco Deporte, as I haven't looked into what price he would be. Sorry, Brian, I cut across you there.
Yeah, I'd be like you, Gary. I was interested in the prices, but I think Townend will ride Franco Deporte to get second, and if anything goes wrong with Shishkin, away then, because clearly all man. Captain McGuinness, he's probably settled down since his novice hurdle days. He's not as headstrong over fences this season as he was last year over hurdles. But I'd agree. I'd be willing to take a chance on Franco Deporte on the without market, or to be in the first two. I think even Townend, I don't even think he's not even going to get himself killed, and he's going to take this race nice and handy. I don't think Townend's going to be slinging Franco Deporte at fences to try and beat Shishkin, trying to mind himself for the week. If I could see him just trying to come home strong up there.
They're to mop up if anything goes wrong.
So Franco Deporte for second or in the betting without market. Gary, your prize winner is Sean Stone for this race. Do you want to tell him what he's won?
Sean wins a injured jockey fund baseball cap, so stylish enough, and supporting a good cause. So we'll get that in the post to you, Sean.
You should probably put one on, Gary, to cover that map.
I could do with it. At least you know I'm not breaking laws.
Do us all a favour.
Just to point out as well, PK. So these prizes aren't just for the comments. So we have people in the background. They're looking at comments, likes, shares, subscriptions on Facebook. So any sort of interaction you go into the pot for one of these prizes. So
we're pot looking on the prizes. So but keep the questions coming in too. They've been very good so far. Just want to say that the William Hill specials for the bet 10 get £50 in free bets, or bet 10 and get £40 free bet in the sports book, and 20 in the casino are still live until midnight. So on the mobile app. So if you click them, they're still there before midnight, before they expire. So get around to them if you can. Right, next we'll move on to the Wednesday. The big championship race there, the champion chase hasn't a look. And this one looks as good as ever, with two former champions in the field in Politologue and Altior. Chanson Boursois heads the market at 10-11. Altior is there at 13-2. Nuba Negra at 8-1. Politologue available at 10s. Put the kettle on 10-1 and 14-1 the field after. As I said, it's a quality field. And Darren, what would be your synopsis of this race?
Yeah, you said that there was a good roll call of winners in this. Notably, Willie Mullins hasn't won this. He's had Min, Footpad, Undeso, Duvan. So that kind of got me thinking against Shaq and Boursois. He's never ran at Cheltenham, and as a 9-year-old, at odds on, you probably want some sort of course for him. Altior, 4-time festival winner, and he's 5 from 5 at the track. I think the race he ran against Suriname, I don't know if he was fully wound up, but it seems like they nearly bottomed each other out. He ran once after that, he won, and then he came back this season. ran against Nuba Negra. Nuba Negra travelled real smoothly, jumped slickly, and beat him handy enough. He was getting £6 that day. But I don't think Nuba Negra has suddenly improved. He was a Fred Winter favourite a few years ago. And Altior, I think, it was just a comeback run just to see where he was at. I'm fully sure he's going to, leave everything. Whatever's in the tank is going to come out on Wednesday. So I backed him at 13-2. Of the others, Politologue, he's won this race, but it was a diabolical race last year. Put the kettle on, won the Arkle. Arkle runners used to have a good record in this race. Fakir Dudari finished second to him. Looked a brilliant jumper early on novice season last year. I don't know, he's probably just not good enough. First flow, he put Politologue to the sword the last day, but again, nothing to suggest he's suddenly become top class. I took a swing at Altior at 7-1, just on the chance that he's primed one more run.
Yeah, that's it. You'd think he has a chance, given the field. Matty, what are you thinking here?
I've been very impressed with Chacun Pour Soi. He's beat Notebook twice. He's actually put the kettle on. He does look the class horse in the race. You would worry about the Cheltenham factor. He's never been there. But listen, Willie Mullins knows what sort of horse it takes to win around there. He's very confident in him. I'd love to see Altior win just through him being there and doing it so many times. He's a favourite of mine. And you say he's very similar to Shishkin, the way he conducts himself. And yeah, when he took on Surname at Ascot, I think it took him a lot of time to get over it, run him over that trip. And then he's run back behind Nuba Negra. I think to me, it was just saying, right, we need to get this horse out before Cheltenham to give him a racecourse gallop. And I was on the eye. I thought he was pleasing. He'd done everything right. He looked like the ultra-old, and Kempton, I don't think would suit him, and Cheltenham does. So I would give him a really good chance. But to say Chacun Pour Soi looks very impressive, the way he jumps as well. So, but yeah, my head says Chacun, but my heart would like to see old Altior win another.
Yeah, that's where that the punters will be betting with their heart on Altior, no more than myself. And but yeah, you can't knock the form of Chacun Pour Soi. Gary, can you see any alternatives in the race?
Yeah, I can. So I'm kind of the same opinion as Darren here. Joe, it looks a great race. Chacun looks flashy, most of the time, but hasn't really finished the races in great style. He's not that he's been all out, but been under a bit of pressure at the finish, and I don't know whether he's going to like Cheltenham and particularly the hill. So at that sort of price, evens or a shade of odds on, I wouldn't be backing him anyway. I was a massive Politologue fan. Anybody who watched our kind of streams late last year, I actually tipped Politologue up for the Tingle Creek while Altior was still in there. Obviously, Altior came out and that race kind of fell apart. But I was a big fan of him. But I don't like the run the last day in the Clarence House. I think that was a fairly grueling race. Paul Nicholls came out last year and said the key to the horse is in being fresh. He won the race last year off the back of a run in Tingle Creek. So we didn't run from the first week of December until Cheltenham. Whether a run in late January that's grueling, he's going to have enough time to recover. And we might ask Matty that later on for his thoughts. But that's put me off Politologue, even though I am a fan of his. First flow, I think things are going to happen too fast for him. But obviously, you can't ignore the form of the Kim Bailey stable. They're knocking in winners left, right, and centre. So it's stable form-wise. You could just have a bet blind. But he just doesn't look. He looks a stayer to me, and I think on fast ground, they might just get away from him. So I'm actually in the Altior camp as well. Like initially, the Desert Orchid run, I kind of had written them off, but after watching it back, and you take into account, I was over 300 days off the track. He actually did fairly well to get as close as he did to Nuba Negra that day. I think he'll definitely reverse the form with Nuba Negra. I think around 6.5, 7-1. He's an each way bet to nothing. He's going to stay on. I can't see him out of the top three. He has all the back form there, the Cheltenham form. So yeah, Altior be the one for me, even though he probably does book a few trends being so old.
Yeah,
at age like Harry, 7 of the last 11 winners have been 9 or older.
Yeah, but there's none of them have been 11.
Yeah,
Moscow Flyer was 11.
Who?
Moscow Flyer.
He wasn't in the last 11.
Oh, I know, yeah, he was fucking the last 20 years.
Yeah. You put the stat out there, Liam. I don't know what you want from me.
I'm just saying, in terms of profiles, like older horses have a good record in the race. He's not that over raced over the last few years either. So, look, he's a good bet. That's it.
Yeah, the consensus here seems to be willing to take on Chance on Boursois. Would you agree with that, Brian?
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd be definitely willing to have a go at him. Trying to find, there's plenty of opposition to him. I suppose, like, a few negatives with him, like, he's never been to Cheltenham, which is a massive thing. He's never even been outside of Ireland since coming to Willie. His form is all on flat tracks around Ireland, big galloping ones like Leopardstown, Cork, Punchestown. Like, he's often, like, even the pace of this race, he'll have never encountered anything like this. Just like something like David Bass firing first flow at fences. Like, that'll be like that was unbelievable what he did the last time. It was one of the best rides I've ever seen. So I'd definitely be willing to take him on. I did get a fright listening to Willie Mullins when he described him as a Rolls Royce. I mean, it's not too often Willie talks so confidently of one, and like, he was just brimming with confidence with this. But I definitely say there's enough questions about him to take him on at even money. What weight? Altior, Jesus, he was flat out from a long way the last day. I know he hadn't run in a long while and it might bring him on, but he looked to be getting slower 2 years ago. And I don't know, they're putting headgear on him. Would really want to liven him up for me. Although Nicky Henderson wouldn't be running him here. Like, we saw what he done with Sprinter Sacra and everything like that. Nube Negra, I seriously think he's a flat track horse. So I've actually come on, put the kettle on. 3 from 3 at Cheltenham. An Arkle winner, which all have good records the following year. She jumps and she stays well, and yeah, she'll do it for me. Put the kettle on.
Would you let Altior off though? Because it was Kempton. That wouldn't be his track, Kempton. We know as soon as he hits that rising ground at Cheltenham, he takes off.
If he's within 3 lengths of Chacun Poursois coming to that last, he'll get Chacun Poursois. But I just like, will Townend try to win the race between the third last and last, or will he try to win it from the second last to the line?
At Leopardstown, he took a pull. The last run, the 2 horses in front of him, he took a pull and then he kind of quickened through them. I can't see him going, or I'd say he'd wait until the last. I get what you're saying, Brian. Altior did look like he was getting slower. I was all on for him stepping up a couple of years ago. It's just when Nicky Henderson kind of persists with it, he said he's going to put on either cheap pieces or blinkers, and they're just going to empty the tank on Wednesday. The last run, I'd imagine.
That's a one last hurrah, like.
Yeah,
it's hard to. It looks like it could be a swan song, for Altior potentially, like. But
even his jumping, Matty, like, at times it looks like he's going over the fence rather than through it, like low, like. Do you know?
Yeah, I think if you go back though and look at it, he always does give him a little bit of air. He always has done that, and. Listen, it's never seemed to have stopped him before. And you say we're probably finding we're picking a little bit of holes in Chacun Poursois. Do we think it's out the hill? I'm getting the general consensus that some of you think that there might be a little doubt there that the hill might just sort of take it out of him. And Altior, he's going to get up that hill, so it'd be very interesting.
Yeah, this was the big question mark is like Chance on Boursois hasn't run here before. Altior has won 5 out of 5, like, and the record in the race, like, having not run there before in the last 12 years, has been 0 winners. So it's a big question mark, but like it's a small hole to try and pick. A question in from someone you mentioned him, Brian, someone on the socials. First Flow, he comes here with a decent progressive profile. Would you give him an each-way squeak, or
I would.
He fits a lot of trends.
He's worked his way up from handicaps up to the last time Grade 1 to Clarence House. Like, as I said, I thought it was an unbelievable ride. My first impression was, Jesus, whatever he does, he'll get political beat anyway, watching the race. And in fairness to him, he dug it out, and by the line, he was going away. And in fairness, Politolog stuck at him as well. If he can get in it, that was right-handed. This is left-handed. I don't know if that will affect him. I'm just checking. He has ran at Cheltenham before in the Supreme. He was pulled up behind Somerville Boy. But David Bast.
I think similar to what you said earlier on about Altior. If Altior is within 3 lengths, I'd say if First Flow is within kind of 4 or 5 lengths of Shacken, you'd be counting your money nearly. My question behind him would just be whether he's going to be able to stay with them early or not on good ground.
Oh yeah, I'd have no doubt Bass will want will want First Flow up there. That's his style of riding.
Yeah.
Shaq will be behind First Flow if First Flow is in the race, if you know what I mean. If things
he took Politolog on down the bottom of the hill at Ascot, and I was watching it and I was like, oh my God, Bassie, I know you love it, but I thought, why are you taking it up here? And they have kicked on to that last fence down the bottom of the hill, gone up the hill hell for leather, and still, as you say, he still hit the line running. So with the question mark with Shacken Boursois and the little flat spot that Altior always hits, sort of between 3 out, 2 out, you think he's beat, and then he comes again. I wouldn't be surprised if Bassie jumps the one at the top of the hill and says, let's go, and let's put the gun to his head and say, let's go. Because that, as you say, that's what Bassie does, and they're just a great partnership. I mean, I'm getting a bit older now. It scares the absolute hell out of me.
It's entertaining to watch, though. Yeah, it's an
intriguing. When you're sitting on the sofa with a beer, it's perfect.
Well, this is it. We're just armchair punters, and that's all we'll ever be. Well, you excluded, obviously, Matty. But yeah, it's another like intriguing race, and it sets up to be one of the best of the week. William Hill have an offer for us on this race too. If you're of a different thinking to the boys in this panel, you can avail of an offer for Chance on Boursois to win at 30-1. That's live in our link tree now if you think he's a banker. So you can go in there and get that for any new customers on mobile. It's there for you. The winner of the prize on this one is Louise Young, who shared our page on Facebook. Gary, can you tell Louise what she's won?
Louise wins a snazzy injured jockey funds snood. So handy for COVID times and for winter racing. They're actually really nice. I want one of them myself. So yeah, that's yours, Louise.
Very nice. Get in touch, Louise, and we'll get that to you. I suppose the natural progression now is on to the novice hurdle on the day is the Ballymore, over 2 mile 4. It seemed very closely matched here. Bob Allinger just taking it in the market at 2-1. Gaillard du Mesnil 11-4. Brave Man's Game is currently 3-1, and then it's 11-1 the field. So the market would suggest it's a 3-horse race with these 3 good youngsters. Gary, would you be inclined to agree with that?
Yeah, I think the market has it right here. Top 3 look kind of a cut above the rest, as you've said. Bob Ollinger, he's been impressive in everything he's done. He finished close second, fairly hollow over 2 miles. That wouldn't have been his trip. Since he stepped up to 2.5 miles, he's had back-to-back victories, including the Grade 1 laurels of Naas last time out. So that form is decent. Gaillard du Mesnil, I think he probably has the best form. I think that Nathaniel Lacey run at Leopardstown was a brilliant run. You look at the horses. So first of all, it was a big field. So that's going to bode him well. And then if you look at the horses that were in behind, there's the likes of Statler and Fakiera, Ganapati. and they're all kind of fancied, either favourites or being tipped up for other races at the festival. So I think that's very strong form. I'm with Brave Man's Game here, though. He got beaten by Soaring Glory on his hurdles debut, but that was over 2 miles. That wouldn't have suited him either. Since he stepped up and trip, he looked impressive. The shallow form has some depth to it. I think Stargate is in the mug. You beat him quite comfortably. And then you have to look at the stable vibes as well. John, I can't remember the last time I heard Nichols being as bullish about it. And it's not just Paul Nichols. Megan Nichols was on about this horse kind of 6 or 7 months ago. So I think that shallow form and the stable vibes would kind of lead me towards Brave Man's Game.
Yeah, so it's still it seems to be the top 3 in the market are the buzz here. Darren, would you go along with that too? Do you have
I don't like Brave Man's Game. He didn't look great in his bumpers, and he kind of looks like a chaser. He's a kind of a big burly horse, so I'd be more looking to him over fences next year. Gallard de Menil, he's ran 9 times and been beaten 6 times. Now the maiden hurdle he won at Christmas looks strong, and the last time he was pretty good as well. But his profile, winning 6 or being beaten 6 out of 9, he just wouldn't be for me. Bob Ollinger, he beat Gary's fancy Blue Lord real smoothly. He jumps and hurdles lovely, so I'd be happy enough to take a punt on him. The ones outside of that, they're definitely a lot to find. There's one there, Bear Gills. He has looked okay. He's won his 4 races. I kind of runs for Nicky Martin, a small trainer, and I don't know, around 10 to 1. I might look for him with a forecast with Bob Ollinger.
So you're saying there's a little bit of each way value there with Bear Gills as well. I think he's 11 to 1 on William Hill, so it's not a bad price if you're looking for something.
I'm kind of against second and third, and even though he has a bit to find, I'm against the kind of second and third. So I'll back Bob Ollinger, and then I'll do a forecast with the Bear Gills.
Nice. Brian, what's your take on this one?
Yeah, it looks 3 very good novices at the top of the market. I don't know much about Bear Gills, Nicky Martin, Matt, this small stable. They seem like they have a good one on their hands. Maybe Matty could tell us a bit more about him. But I'd say it's 3 very good horses at the top taking each other on. Ireland have won 6 of the last 7 runnings, so highly likely to win this one. Bob Ollinger, I was in Gorn. That was one of the last days I worked when he won his bumper, beating Coquelino. The word from that day was very strong. There was very good money for him. Coquelino was well fancied as well, went off favourite, but there was real good word for Bob Ollinger. And just one thing, it has been happening lately, but I'd say that was the first time Paddy Mullins rode a bumper horse for Henry de Bromhead. Now he's riding more lately, well, seemingly any of these Rob Kerr, Brian Atchison horses, but that would stick in my head. They must have thought they had something that day, and something real good. The fact that Paddy rode it in Gorn, went on with second to Fernie Hollow, who in truth was Willie's probable supreme horse, and gave him a fair race of it. And since then, he's done nothing wrong. Won his maiden hurdle at 1 to 8, and won the Lawlers in Naas, beaten Blue Lord. And I suppose Blue Lord pulled, so you could knock him from that. He bet Gabby Nacco. Gabby Nacco is probably a handicapper. But so the form, you could knock the form a bit, but he was very impressive. As for Gallard de Mesnil, I thought he was exceptional in his maiden in Leopardstown, which, as Darren said, came out and has worked out very well. Mr. Incredible won very impressively, beating a good mare of Willie's the next time out. And Gallard then went on to win a Grade 1 at the Dublin Racing Festival. And Brave Man's Game, I just take on word what Paul Nichols is saying. He's comparing him to Denman and everything like that. But for me, I'd side with Bob Ollinger. Brian Atchison, who's Rob Kerr, is from my hometown here. And yeah, I'd say they have a real horse in their hands here.
So you're sticking with the Irish horse in this one. Matty, anything coming from the English side?
I think Brave Man's Game. Yeah, I say Nichols is He says it's his best chance of the week. Very bullish about it. Agree with Gary that since he's stepped up in trip, he's done nothing but improve. I wouldn't really take his bumper form. He's not a bumper horse. He just had to get out there, get his runs. He's obviously clearly a horse that wants a trip. Bear Gills, I mean, listen, he's won at Lingfield, Foss, Lass, Exeter. He beat a horse 5 lengths, Stormy Flight at Exeter. That come out the other day and got beat in a handicap at Sandown on Friday. For me, the form doesn't look great. It doesn't really stand out for me. So Brave Man's Game, I just think what he's done over 2.5 mile has been impressive for me. So yeah, I'm going to go with Brave Man's Game.
So it's 2-2 here with the panelists, Irish against English, and but given it's St. Patrick's Day, I think we could pull this one out, so we could on the Irish side and put one up for the Presbury Cup. I think.
I think that's in the bag already. I don't worry about that.
All right, sound enough. There's a question here from Jason on social media. He says that, and I'm not pulling quotes from anywhere, but according to him, Jamie Codd has come out and said that Bob Ollinger is a banker of the week.
Yeah, he said it was a God-given certainty. Was the exact.
Yeah, that's the exact quote. Would you read much into that?
You got to listen to the Codfather, haven't you?
Yeah, like I mean, sometimes these things can be said on preview nights to just get the crowd going or whatever. But the fact that he said it on at the races preview, you do have to stand up and take note. Personally, I'd rather go with my own opinion rather than what other people are saying. So I think Bob Allen's going to be a great horse. He could well win this, but I think Brave Man's Game, to me, he looks the most likely winner. Brian, what would you think on that? Would you take the word at face value, or
it depends who it comes from? But I don't think Codd would be too loose with his words. Yeah, some people I wouldn't pay any attention to, but Codd I definitely would. But look, like at the end of the day, there's nothing like God-given certainty or anything like that. But I'd say like he'd have a read in the point-to-point form, and that like he won a point-to-point by 15 lengths. That's not easily done. So yeah, I just think, look, they're 3 cracking novices, but this Bob Ollinger could be something special.
Yeah, as you said, Brian, 3 cracking novices, and it's set up to be a great race on Wednesday morning. So we'll wait and see how that one goes. Thanks for that question from social media. Zoe Wolf is the winner of our prize for this one, Gary. So if you wanna tell her what she's won, please.
There's another Barry Garrity autobiography, so that's Zoe's.
Cool. Get in touch there, Zoe, and we'll get that out to you during the week. Thanks very much. Next up is the 3 mile. Go ahead.
Just Matty, do you know anything about Bear Grylls? We didn't mention him, even who Nicky Martin, like he's obviously a small time trainer. What's his form? Like he's winning in Exeter, the handicap Arkle.
She is a small time trainer, yeah.
Sorry.
That's your Kim Bailey moment.
Yeah, listen, she's down the West Country. Matt Griffiths he rides for her and Jeremy Scott. She does okay, but I just saying to the lad, looking at the form, I don't want to sort of sound disrespectful, but it looks like it's just the day out. I mean, the form doesn't add up to me. Like you beat what I just said, the horse was called. It ran at Sandown on Friday and got beat. Stormy Flight, yeah, finished 3rd to a horse of Sheena West that won at Doncaster today and won at Sandown. But her form is so in and out. Bard of Brittany. Her form's so in and out. The form just doesn't really fill me with confidence with Bear Grylls. Yeah. I hope I'm wrong, because I love seeing the underdogs like Matt Griffiths when he won the Grade 1. Like, people don't realise he's a great horseman, Matt, and for him to go and win a Grade 1, like he was with Hobbsy, and like a lot of Hobbsy's lads, they do well for a season. He uses it through the claim, and then your claim goes, and then you're sort of left on the scrap heap. And Matt Griffiths has gone out there, gone to work for Jeremy, and he's got his rewards because he's got couple of nice horses. Like Dazzle Drasser has just been a godsend for him. So yeah, but yeah, I don't think the form's good enough for me.
But yeah, as you said, Matty, we'd all like to see the small stables win in these big events.
Brilliant, yeah.
No one will begrudge them. Like it'll be nice for all. Yeah, from there we'll move on to the 3 mile novice chase on the day. The Brown Advisory. Monkfish is a big fave here at currently at 8 to 15 in the market, with Big Breakaway at 5 to 1, Eclat de Rear at 8 to 1, Royal Pelage at 8 to 1, and then 12 to 1 the field after that. I suppose Monkfish would be the idea of a banker for a lot of people going into the festival. Brian, would you agree with that sentiment?
Oh God, yeah. It looks impossible to get him beat. I suppose the bookies they'll lay him again. It's their job to do it. But yeah, I don't know where do you start. Maybe like he looks bomb-proof. Starting with Monkfish, he looks absolutely bomb-proof. I'd say if he ran in the Gold Cup, he'd be favourite. I think actually someone said he's favourite for the Gold Cup for next year already.
Yes, yeah, one for next year.
Yeah, like
get on.
That says it all. If you're told to get on already, he's some sort. The Eclat de Rear, he's a fair horse of Henry de Bromhead's, probably very much ground dependent. I'd say he'd want it very soft. And then yeah, I don't know where to go from there. It just I think Monkfish is he'll take the world of beating.
Yeah, the betting suggests so. Matty, can you oppose him at all?
No, not at all. I know. I was watching a thing on at the races the other day, and Willie Mullins said when he first sort of jumped hurdles, he looked like he didn't take to it. Since he's jumped fences, he's just been awesome. You say you could run him in the Gold Cup this year, and he would have a hell of a chance. But he'll win this year, and he'll go on and win next year's Gold Cup without a doubt. To me, you're looking for something that is going to get in the prize money. And does Sporting John, will that definitely run in that?
I'm fairly sure he will, yeah.
I think he showed his form was back at Sandown after winning. He finished third the time before that. And I think Hobbsy's horses were just under a cloud a little bit now. But the last few weeks, they've been running well. And they look like they're back in form. So I think Monkfish is going to win. Here we go. We have a forecast. Monkfish, Sporting John.
Nice. Bit of value. Sporting John without the fave wouldn't be a bad bet either. If you wanted to.
No, I don't think it was. No, I think, listen, he's formed behind Fiddler on the Roof and Silver Hallmark. It's, again, he was odds on favourite that day, but I do think they were under a bit of a cloud. And I think Dickie Johnson said they were sort of running, all of these were running sort of a bit flat, a bit under par. But the run at Sandown, the way he come up the Sandown Hill, I thought, yeah, he looks like he's back to his best. And they did think he was going to go on and be a real good horse a year ago or so. So, yeah, without the favourite, it could be a good bet.
I agree with you there, Matty. I thought I was being really original coming on here with the forecast of this race, and then the two of us ended up matching on it. So I think, yeah, like, Monkfish is bomb-proof. If you want to look like how good he is, latest expedition is no mug, and he's broken his heart this year that so much that horse probably won't even come to Cheltenham and go to the Irish Grand National. And then Conflated finished, I think it was 61 lengths. It was over 60 lengths anyway behind Monkfish at Christmas, and he's come out and ramped up in a grade 3 today. I think he won that by 20 lengths. So that's unbelievable form. So I can't, if he stands up, gets over all the fences, he'll definitely win it. Sporting John in that City Oils, Matty, I don't know what you would make of it. So I'm taking it that he was so kind of slow earlier on. He kind of got a bit detached. He didn't see him he seemed a bit sluggish. And then, as you said, he stayed on up the hill and ended up winning it quite snugly. So I was looking at that saying there's plenty of improvement in it, because it's the first time I've seen him run so slugly so sluggish. So what would you make of that? Would you think it's a worry that he was kind of detached early on, or is that a positive that he's overcome it and he can improve?
Do you know what I think? I'll ignore the the first part of the race, because I think the latter start of the races, the stages of the races, he started to switch on, and Dickie got him revved up, and it was a good ride from Dickie. He held up, he got detached, he had a couple of slow jumps, and it was just a horse that was probably a little bit low on confidence. And Dickie's gone out there, let him get into a rhythm, and come the railway fences, if you was just watching Sporting John, all of a sudden he switched on, and he's like, right, I'm here now, I'm doing my job, and it proved it the way he quickened up the hill. So yeah, I just think it was. I wouldn't look too much into the early part of the race, because I think Dickie was just. It was a great ride, not to rush him up there, got into a rhythm, and it proved how good he was towards the end of the race. That it wouldn't bother me at all.
All right, cheers.
Yeah, Darren, do you want me to tick the box for Monkfish here too? Yeah. 4 in a row.
Surprised myself to agree with Gary with the forecast as well. That Sporting John, he went off second. Yeah, to Envoy Allen last year in the Ballymore. So he went off around 5-1. He finished distressed. So they obviously think he's a proper tool. Yeah, can't see past Monkfish really.
Would you give Asterian Furlonge a chance at a big price? No.
He can't go left-handed, and he can't jump.
Yeah.
Sure, he nearly took half the field out in the Supreme last year. So, I wouldn't. I backed him at Limerick over Christmas, and again it was against Colreevy that day on Boxing Day, Stephen's Day, and tipped 3 or 4 out. You couldn't trust him. Because if he gets around and he doesn't do anything wild like going out to his right, potentially, but I wouldn't like to have my money riding on him, to be honest.
No, I mean he looks like he's got an engine, but as you say, that would be a worry. He's just. I mean, he hasn't. He didn't finish that far behind Chantry House last year, was it? I just thought, if he could get his act together, but he's had 2 falls as well. It's probably a lot to ask.
I think he needs to go right-handed, somewhere like Sandown or Fairy House or something like that.
Yeah,
I look at him there, but I can't believe they're even sending him to Cheltenham. Being totally honest, but then again, Willie Willans knows a lot more than me, so.
Royal Pelage is up in the betting here too, but he probably doesn't
Gold Cup.
He's Gold Cup.
Right?
Yeah, we can dismiss him for anyone that's there. Look, it's hard to see past Monkfish here, and if he just ticks the boxes, he surely goes to the Gold Cup as a big fucking chance next year. So I think we've covered all the bases there. And Keith Brown is our price winner there, Gary. If you want to tell them one.
So Keith has won Henrietta Knight, Not Enough Time book. So I'm sure that'll be great reading.
Be in touch, Keith, and we'll get that out there, or don't, whatever.
From Keith.
Don't worry, that was the worst prize that was there. So I am. There's better still to come.
What are you trying to say about Hen? What are you trying to say about Hen?
As I said earlier on about your John Travolta comment,
I have some very funny stories about Hen, but I'll tell you all after we go offline.
No, get them out now, Matty. Come on. No. We're all friends here, Mark. Come
on. We're going to move on quickly to the champion. Usually a tricky one to decipher. No amateurs this year, so there'll be a bit of a different look to the race. But the betting market is pretty familiar with 2 Mullins hot pots that were pretty eye-catching at the top of the market, with Sir Gerhard going into favourite of 15-day Kilcruit just behind at 2-1, 3 Stripe Life at 7-1 afterwards, and then 12-1 the field after that. Gary, you have I think another inmate at Mullins Yard that's running in this, so if you'd like to give us the rundown here.
Yeah, so as you alluded to earlier on, PK, I've a shareholding in Grangy who's running here, so actually a bit of a family affair myself, my brother, my father, all have shares, and then our regular viewers will be familiar with LB, who's known me on our show. He owns a share as well, so there's a few of us involved. if you had told me when we bought the share, I think we bought the shares in November 2019. If you told me then that we'd have a runner at Cheltenham at all, never mind, in the champion bumper, I wouldn't have believed you. So actually, for anybody who is interested kind of in the backstory and a bit more about, Grangie, there's an article on sportsrundown.com called the Queen of My Heart. So a little bit sloppy, but anybody fancies a read, want to read it there. In terms of her form, she won impressively the first time out at Galway on bad ground. And straight after that race, Willie Mullins was on the phone and he said she's Cheltenham horse, champion bumper. So like I backed her then, whatever that was, back probably October time, for the champion bumper. And then the flag was kind of lowered a bit at Mark and Raisin in January. She was kind of disappointing. Everybody really fancied her, but I think there was excuses that day.
And she bumped into
she was up against, she was up against a potential superstar in Eileen Dover. I don't think the race was going to suit. Didn't really like the ride she got off Nico de Boinville. I think it was it was clear that we needed a strong pace.
That's fired.
Typical owner. That is.
You have to call it. You have to call it. No, but we knew she needed to kind of have a strong pace and try and take the sting out of Eileen Dover a bit. And it was a slowly run affair. The ground was actually terrible that day, so at the end of that race, I think we all were a bit disappointed and it was kind of regrouped. And I was kind of saying to myself, they should put her away for next year now. Then Willie had a great idea of going to the Dublin Racing Festival for a grade 2, and she was unbelievably impressive that day. So she loved the better ground, she loved the fast pace. Jodie Townend was on a kind of owner's call there recently, and she said that she went out looking to ride her for a place, a bit of black type. But she actually thinks that if she had ridden her more aggressively, she would have won more impressively. She kind of indicated there was more in the tank there. So with that in mind, the 25, William Hill are 25-1 still about her. There's 20-1 generally. I think she has a great each way chance. You're guaranteed they're going to go a good pace here. You're guaranteed that she's going to be ridden to finish in the best possible. She'll probably be nearer last than first most of the way around. She comes out of a staying background, so she's going to stay up the hill. She'll like the better ground, so I think she's a great each way bet. That said, you're looking at Kilcruit, you're looking at Sir Gerhard at the top of the market. I think they're going to be hard to beat. I think Kilcruit's last run at Leopardstown kind of hard to believe. So to me, Sir Gerhard is the most likely winner. Again, I'll be doing a forecast, reverse forecast with Sir Gerhard and Grangie, but as I said, have Grangie backed at big prices from a long time out. So fingers crossed, everything goes well over the next couple of days, and she gets there in one piece, runs a race. So I suppose the only thing to say is about the jockey booking. So it's mad. Like, we still don't know who's going to ride her. So we've been told we'll find out about 10 minutes before declaration time tomorrow. So that's going to be an interesting way to see. There's talk of Rachel Blackmore. She's such a tiny mare, Grangie, that she'll need somebody quite petite on there. So I know Rachel Blackmore has ridden her in a couple of pieces of work. There's talk of her getting the ride. Again, that'd be unbelievable if we were going out with Rachel on board. So I'll be watching the declarations as they come in tomorrow and praying that Rachel's aboard.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone here holds the same sentiment that we'll be shouting for Grangie for you that day, UNLB. It's a big moment. It's obviously we'd all dream about having a runner at Cheltenham. So fair play to you and best of luck. Mattie, can you give us an angle here of betting without the heart, I suppose?
Well, I think Grangie is an absolute certainty. I cannot believe the trainer and the owners brought her over to run at Market Raising. I mean, it's absolutely stupidity. I mean, I don't know. I mean, she was when she came over to Market Raising, she was the lay of the day. She was never going to win round there. I mean, she's slow as a funeral march, and they brought her to Market Rasen. I mean, it's
Can we kick Paddy off the stream here, please?
Absolutely shocking. I mean, whose idea was that? I mean, Willie to do it and the owners to agree with it. I mean, it's just preposterous.
I thought you'd be being nice to us here, Matty, looking for the ride. I might have given you an opening that there's a spare available.
Do you know what? I was going to be nice until you said she needs someone petite on it. I thought, here we go. Batchelor's going to get the call up. You've called Rachel Blackmore out.
Is that how you like to be described, Matty?
Absolutely shocking. Sir Hard, an absolute certainty. Listen, I hope she wins for you. I really do. I'll be cheering her on for you.
It'll be a great story, especially for us here at Sports Rundown. Boys, do either boys have any opinion on this race?
No, just be cheering Grangie on.
Yeah, from a bookie's point of view, the bumper can often give you a flyer. Like your Q card 1 year 40-1. You had a Mayor of Willie Mullins is there 33-1. What was her name? Relegate. So you can get a strange result in it, but honestly, I think they're two serious horses at the top of the market. Kilcrook looked so good the last day. It was frightening. As Gary said, nearly too good to be true. I have a little word that Sir Gerhard worked with Envoy Allen and tested him, and they let Quilixius, the 4-year-old, for dead. He wasn't within an ass's roar of them. So if that's true, if Sir Gerhard is testing Envoy Allen, and that was prior to the Gordon Elliott thing, that would do for me. It'll be very interesting to see what Townend rides. I mean, this is an impossible decision as to. I would think he'd end up on Kilcrook, but just
it's a tough one. It's a toss of a coin there almost, but they know more than we do, so you'll have to go with what.
I think the Mullins kind of vibe there will put pressure on. There's the Tony, like used to be trained by Tony Mullins. Isn't it named after the town that the mother comes from?
The mother, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a big family connection there. So I think if I was stable jockey, you'd feel you'd have to ride Kilcrook just based on that. But Matty, what would that come into the equation? Or so you're a jockey, you have a choice. Are you thinking about the trainer's feelings, or are you going for the one that you think has the best chance?
I think, do you know what? I think it's sort of going back to when McCoy wanted I forget what he wanted to ride in the National, and John Joe said, no, you ride, don't push it. I think you want, as a jockey's point of view, you would want the confidence to come from the trainer and say, right, I think you should ride this. It's been doing all the right things at home. Unless you're riding them horses day in, day out, and then you've got your own opinion, and he says, look, which one you want to ride, and you've got to make that decision. Sometimes it can be the wrong one, sometimes it can be the right. But it'd be interesting, that bit of work. Where was Grangie in that bit of work? Was she right out the back, or
she was in Willie Mullins' yard, not in Gordon Elliott's?
She actually.
I
thought they'd already moved.
There was no one petite right now. She was out the back.
The little stubby jockey.
Obviously, that was before the move, was it?
Yeah, that's what I was told. Anyway, so.
Yeah. Very good. So we'll all be shouting on Grangie anyway. Even Matty, I think, is a little bit there. He'll give it a shout on the day, I'm sure.
Yeah, I will.
So Craig Merchant on our Facebook is he must be a friend of yours, Matty. He's lauding your punditry here, so we're going to give him a prize. We said we'll treat him nicely. He's trying to encourage you there.
Signed picture of me.
Brilliant! It's in the post, Craig. It's in the post. Gary, do you want to tell him what he's on there?
He's getting the Triumph of Henry Cecil, so that'd be a good read.
Oh, we like that.
A lot about Frankel in that, probably. Yeah, that's good. Just to remind everyone to stay in touch on our socials. The more questions, the better, and the more interaction, the better, because the guys are here to interact with you too. So, from that we'll move on to the first championship race on the Thursday. Unfortunately, we lost one of the big ones in the market at this too, Time Hill, earlier in the week, which is which has left Paisley Park at the top of the market by himself at 15-8. Cyber du Berlais is there 4-1. Flooring Porter is 7-1. Vindication is 8-1, and then it's 10-1 the field after that. Paisley Park comes as favourite again, but he was a shorter price last year when he bombed out, so it's a pretty unpredictable race, and it's hard to know how he'll come into this race. Darren, what would be your view on that?
I fancied Time Hill, and he obviously got pulled out the other day. So I've kind of gone through the race again. I wanted to take on Paisley Park. 9-year-olds don't have a brilliant record. I think in the last 30 years, there's been 3 winners, and 2 of them have been English Driver and Big Bucks. So kind of top-notchers. Sire du Berlais, he's won the per temps for the last 2 years, and he finished 4th the year before in another handicap. I don't know, is he classy enough at this age to be stepping up into kind of a Grade 1 race? He finished out, I think, 3rd in a Grade 1 at Leopardstown over Christmas. Didn't look great. Storyteller, I think he's kind of interesting. He was beaten in the per temps last year, but since then he's won a Grade 1 over fences, finished 2nd in a Grade 1 over hurdles and chases as well. He's a 10-year-old, so that would kind of put me off. I ended up back in Fury Road. So he ran against Monkfish in the Albert Bartlett last year. So it was Monkfish, Fury Road, Time Hill, and latest exhibition. So the 4 of them nearly came to the last together, but Fury Road traded at 1.45 in running. He kind of looked like Davy Russell had smuggled him into it, didn't really go for the whip, took it up about 50 yards out, and then Monkfish rallied just near the line to get up. He was beaten by Beacon Edge the last day. Beacon Edge nailed him on the line. I think he'll run well as well. So I like a kind of a younger horse in this race. So Fury Road for me at 12-1 currently.
A good each way shout there for the viewers. Gary, have you any strong view on this race?
Yeah, I have. So yeah, kind of with Darren, like I've never really liked Paisley Park. So I'm happy to take him on here. I just don't like horses that run in that style. So I think Darren kind of, I disagree with you on Sire du Berlais. You were kind of very much negative about him. I think his run last year in the per temps puts him right in the mix here. He was given the Storyteller £3 or £4 that day. And I think the time that time or that day was very good. So I'd give Sire du Berlais a chance. The Storyteller, I agree, probably has the best form this season coming into it, but he's been campaigned, not with this in mind anyway. I think he's had 8 runs since July. 2 runs in July, I think. Was it back-to-back at Galway? He ran the Tuesday and Friday, or the Tuesday and Saturday, something like that. So it'd be like an unbelievable training performance if he goes from July to March and ends up winning the Stayers Hurdle. To me, Beacon Edge is the standout bet here. I can't believe he's 20-1. The only reason he's 20-1 is that he hasn't run over 3 miles yet, but he stayed on to beat Fury Road last time in the Bayern Hurdle. He was only beaten 3/4 of a length by Honeysuckle later on the season back in November, over 2.5. He has form over 2 mile. I think he was closing behind Jason the Militant, who's, as we mentioned earlier on, run well this season. I think he's a great bet. He's 20-1. He's nearly becoming my nap at the minute, to be honest. 20-1.
A 20-1 nap. That's note that one. We'll hold you to that one, Gary. Matty, have you anything you like in this race?
Yeah, I think with the withdrawal of Time Hill, I thought Paisley Park's job made a little bit easier. I know Emma Lavelle said in the week that she's very sorry for Connections not running. I think that's utter crap, to be honest. I mean, one of your main contagonists, and she's absolutely delighted it's not running. Don't worry about that. He looked back to himself. He looked in good form. I like the Rebecca Curtis horse, Listenagar Oscar. It wasn't a fluke the way he won last year. He flew up the hill, won well. After that, a bit below form, but he's had his breathing operation. The Haydock run second behind Third Wind. I think it was a run to test his wind. It looked good. It come on for that run, and at 9-1, I think it's not a bad each way bet at 9-1. So I'll give him a massive chance, listener Oscar. But I'd love to see Paisley Park win for the owner, and Anthony Gemmell. He just loves sport, listening to sport, and it's another great story if Paisley Park can win again. But I'll listen to Oscar at 9-1 for me.
Yeah, you don't begrudge any of them good horse owners that actually love the sport. You never begrudge them a winner, even if it is a favourite or anything. You're trying to get it beat. It's still a nice angle. It's still nice for them to win a race. Brian, you see anything else in this race?
I'd nearly agree with Matty with Lisnagar Oscar. I thought the run the last time was very good, back to form or somewhere close to its best form. Like, it went off a massive price last year, but when you look at its novice form the year before that, it was behind Manila Indo in the potato race and was only a 13-2 shot in that. So, like, was clearly well fancied that day. I'd be like the rest of the lads. I'd be trying to take on Paisley Park. Just like he was terribly disappointing last year. Has looked back to somewhere near his best his last two runs. But I don't know, has ever a horse regained the stairs hurdle? I know plenty of horses
Big Books
done it on 1, 2, 3.
Big Books.
No, regained. I mean
lost it.
English Retriever.
Who?
I think
Did he lose
twice.
back?
Yeah,
Right,
I'm fairly sure he didn't win 3 in a row.
Well, there's that stat gone up in smoke. Anyway.
That's what we're here about, Brad.
Let's punch up the paper and throw it away, Brian.
Don't ask a question you don't want the answer to, man.
Yeah. Like,
Brian's had a shocker. His electric's gone. We can't see his face. Got no light on. Can't afford lighting. no on-course book, mate. He's absolutely struggling. He's got a candle as a light.
For Flor and Porto, that'd be a great story for Gavin Cromwell. I think won his handicap off 105 in 2019 in October of that year, and has been on the go ever since, and was a fair winner the last time out. Probably hard thing to make all around Cheltenham over like 3 miles, a 3 mile hurdle. But yeah, I'd be with Matty. I'd be for Lisnagar Oscar each way.
Yeah, and given Paisley Park in different form coming into this, and last year he's hard to be fully confident in. And I think you've given 14-1, 20-1, and 9-1 alternatives there. Like, it just goes to show it's an open race, and there's probably very little trust in the favourite. But if Gary's going to go and nap at 20-1, I think we should all be big ears, because normally he's napping 1 to 2 shots. So that's a big putting your neck on the line there, Gary, and we'll hold you to it if we can. Comment in there on the social from Jimmy Kelly saying that he watched the Ruby and Mick Fitz show, and he says, and this has been a lot more valuable to him. So fair dues to you, lads. You're impressing some people out there.
Jimmy, we'll send you that money in the post.
Well, it won't be money, but he'll get second best, and we'll give him a prize, will we, Gary?
Yeah, well, we've already told him to back Beacon Edge, and then we'll get this first class so he can celebrate. So Jigginstown scarf. So
he can have a share in Grandgy, can he? No,
no, he can't. They're a lot more expensive these days. So yeah, Jigginstown scarf, and you can cheer on either Beacon Edge or Fury Road, whichever one you want. But we know which one is going to be the winner.
They're going out to you, so be in touch and we'll get that out to you. Just a reminder that the offers we have from William Hill are expiring tonight. The £50 in free bets if you bet 10 in the sportsbook, or £40 free bets in the sportsbook, bet 10 and get £20 in the casino as well. So they're expire at midnight. So next race would be sequentially is the Marsh Novice Chase, over 2 mile 4 on the Thursday. Just an old typo of mine. There's a strong fave here again. At the seemingly unflappable Envoy Alan at 4-6, 13-2 Shan Blue, 7-1 Monkfish, who obviously won't go here, 8-1 Chantry House, and then 12-1 the field afterwards. I suppose it's hard to find any chinks in the armour of Alan, really, but with the recent changes of yards, like, would that have had maybe any impact on him? Brian, what's your perspective on this?
Yeah, I wouldn't know now what changing the yards would do. I see Paul Nichols was saying that it could have a massive effect, and then you kind of flip that and you see horses going down. Now they're not changing yards, but they go down to Australia for a Melbourne Cup and they perform out of their skin. So I suppose there's two ways looking at that. I'm sure the Bromhead knows full well what to do. I take it's all got to do with fees and a routine, and I'm sure Elliot has given him some heads up on that. But again, it's another one of these short price favourites that looks pretty bomb-proof. I mean, you have Shan Blue. He's an exceptional jumper. He's one of the best novices you'll see jump around. And like with Dan Skelton, or with Dan Skelton training and Harry Skelton riding, I mean, he's riding unbelievable at the moment. He's on fire. So you're sure he'll get the max out of that horse. Chantry House is interesting. Like, he probably went off there. He went a bit off course during Cheltenham there in December. He ran terrible, beating at 8-11. But he came back the last day with a good win in Wetherby. And like, he did run well at Cheltenham last year behind Shishkin in the Supreme Novice. And I suppose on that form, if anyone is to put it up to Envoy Allen, I would have thought it would be Chantry House. But again, it's another one of these hot pots that's going to be very hard to beat.
Yeah, he's another one that's proven difficult to oppose. Darren, would you agree on that?
Yeah, nothing really to add to what Brian was saying. Like, Envoy Allen does look the best. Shan Blue is an exceptional jumper, but after looking at his Ballymore last year, I thought he got slightly outpaced, then really quickened after the bend and took 5 or 6 lengths out of him. So I was trying to find something to beat him with, but like, that race is going to cut up again. So I'll try and find a forecast on the day, something long odds, but yeah, not for me really.
Yeah, Envoy Allen, a short thing. Matty, have the same opinion?
Yeah, I think Shan Bleu and Chantry House will be fighting it out for second. As far as the moving stables, I think, well, I know that Henry de Bromhead uses the same food as Gordon Elliott, so that wouldn't be a major issue. And I would say most horses would be sort of bedded on either paper or shavings now, but Gordon would have told him that. And I mean, listen, he hasn't had him long, and he's a fit horse. Henry Bromhead just needs to tick him over. It's just his daily routine, but he seems a very laid-back horse. Listen, some horses it would affect different ways. You can move some horses from one side of the yard to the other, and they start box walking and going mad. But Envoy Allen, he just seems, his whole demeanour, it doesn't seem that sort of horse. So I don't think it's a massive problem. Some horses it would be, but for him, I don't think it'd be a problem at all.
Yeah, Gary, I'm assuming you're of the same opinion here.
Yeah, so again, anybody who has been reading sportsrundown.com will know that I flagged Envoy Allen as kind of the Irish banker a few weeks ago. He's part of all of my kind of anti-post doubles, travels, ACCAs, so I really hope he wins, but the stable move is making me quite nervous now, to be honest. I think against them, small each way on Black Bow wouldn't be a bad bet. Black Bow is well fancied. I think he would have favour at Christmas when he fell at Leopardstown. Was given a schooling race basically next time out at Nice just to get his confidence back up. I think the jockey and trainer were called in to explain to the stewards why he was ridden so far off the pace. And then he came out at the Dublin Racing Festival and finished third at Ergoman. So you know he's going to stay a trip because he won a point-to-point over 2.5. He's 25-1. I'm just looking here with William Hill, and he's 12-1 with Betfair. There's a bit of 20s about with some other bookmakers, but I think the 25-1, especially he's going to run here now. He's been pulled out of the Arkle 3 places. I think it's a great bet against the fave, but I said I'll be hoping Envoy Allen wins and wins well.
Sorry, Gary, I missed that there. It was the 25-1 shot you tipped up with a chance.
Black Bow.
Black Bow.
So yeah, So I don't know, maybe I broke up there, but Willie Mullins' horse fell at Christmas, ran well down there against an Ergoman at the Dublin Racing Festival. And I said, even just the differential in price, looking at it here, with 12-1 Betfair, 12-1 Paddy's, and then you've got Ladbrokes and William Hill going 25s. So if you can get the 25s at William Hill, John, to me, it's a good bet.
It's another one of them races where the favourite is almost unopposable. You can find, I'd personally be taking Chantry House in the betting without, for some value, but it's hard to find any chinks in his armour. With a view to that, where would he run next year if he comes out of this in like all unscathed? Where would you see him lining up next year?
I assume they go to Gold Cup.
It depends with Appletard as well, I suppose.
I
think want to go Cup.
Shelby Park too, yeah. Could he go back to
that? Elliot has always said that it's a Gold Cup horse, so I'd say he'd be pushing for that anyway. But you're right, Brian. If Appletard goes and wins the Gold Cup this year, do the owners want two running in the Gold Cup against each other? I don't know, but to me, he's a Gold Cup horse anyway. If he wins this, well, you have to be looking at him in kind of that vein.
And if Monkfish wins and the two of them get there next year, I mean, it's sets up. But we always talk about this every year about races set up next year. But it could set up to be a brilliant Gold Cup next year if these novices pull through. So our prize winner in this one is Jason Maidmont. And Gary, would you like to tell him what he's won?
Jason has won the Snood, so Injured Jockey Fund Snood. That's on its way to you.
Yeah, get in touch and we'll get that out to you. And then we move on to what would potentially be considered the fifth championship race of the week, the Ryanair Chase over 2 Mile 5 on the Thursday. It's ultra competitive as always, and the betting suggests that it's a really open market with Mullins horse Inmate Aloho at the top of the market. No surprise there, but last year's winner Min is available at 6-1, Imperial Aura at 11-2, Mellon another of Willie Mullins at 7-1, and then they're 7-1 thereafter. It's a really close market with lots of chances. Matty, what would you be taking going into this race?
I'm going on the Kim Bailey form. They're in really good form. I think they had a bumper win the other day at Hereford. I think Imperial Aura, winner last year at the festival. Again, Bassi will take no prisoners. He'll bounce out. I just think he just have a really good chance. At Kempton, listen, it was just a freak thing. He's unseated, and Bassi sort of look back and think, how have I come off of that? I think it was just one of those freak accidents, and it was just unlucky. He's jumped around. He's normally touch wood. He's normally a straightforward, good jumper. And I just think, the Yard are going there they're in good form. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Kim Bailey, but I think Bassie's a great lad, so I hope he has to win.
Why aren't you a fan of Kim Bailey, Matty?
We just had a few choice words over the years.
Another one for the blue or the green room later.
Yeah, the green room afterwards. Yeah.
Darren, do you have a play in this race?
I back Sam Crow. So I know he hasn't ran brilliant this season. First time out, he clattered the fence, finished third. It was okay, and then he ran deplorable at Christmas. Much like a lot of Elliott's. He's had a nice break since. I like the fact he's 2 from 2. He won the Ballymore, and then last year he won that March Chase. He pipped Mellon and Fahim last year. He'll probably just be tuned up for the day. Willie has a kind of a strong hand. Min, who won it last year, he looked a bit off the last day, and then clattered the fence and was pulled up. One who kind of blows hot and cold is Mr. Fisher. Sometimes he looks like exceptional. I think he has one on soft, but when it gets faster, he'd be one with a quick turn of foot. But I stuck with Sam Crow.
Yeah, nice 14-1 each way chance there, Darren. And he does. He's 2 from 2 at Cheltenham, so he goes there he loves it there. He knows the track, so you'd be giving him a chance. Brian, would you what would you give a chance in this race?
Yeah, it's wide open, as the betting suggests. I was originally, when I first looked at it, fancying Mellon just for his record around the track. I think he's placed 5 times, four seconds at the festival. I think he was third in a Greatwood Hurdle or something like that. But still, like, I'm Mellon at 12 or 14 to 1 each way, 7 to 1, plenty tight enough for me now. I'd want to be getting double figures for him the more I think about it. I like Fakir Dudery. I think Joseph's horses are coming into a bit of form. I thought that was an okay run last time over 2 miles against Chacun Poursois. He ran well last year, and the Arkle probably would have won the Arkle only for clout in the second last. So I'd give him a chance. And one of the big price, if it became a bog, would be Chris's Dream. Now, I don't think you're going to, but like, he's a real soft ground horse, and he's a fair enough tool when he gets his conditions. So him at a big price for me in soft ground. So Chris's Dream and probably Fakir Dudery each way.
Nice. And Gary, you similar picks here, do you?
Yeah, so the lads have kind of covered what I was going to say here. So, like, I don't really understand why Alho's favourite. I think Min on his A game is the likely winner, but you know, the way he jumped at the Dublin Racing Festival and then was pulled up, that wouldn't inspire confidence. As Brian said, Mellon is the ultra consistent type that if you want something to give you a run, you back him. And then I agree with Darren, Samcro's the forgotten horse. You know, like, he beat Mr. Fisher out the gate last year in the Marsh. You know, he beat Mellon by a nose in that race as well. But he's double the price now. So I'm looking here, 2 of those are 7 to 1. Samco's 14 to 1. You need to forgive him some of his runs earlier on this season. But if he gets back to anywhere near his best, he's a big player. But the one I backed is Fakir Dudery. As Brian said, the second to Chacun Poursois, the Dublin Racing Festival, just showed some sparks of him being back to his best. And I think, you know, if he's anywhere near his best, he'll go very close here. So 8 to 1. I can't really see him being outside the top 3. So it's a bit of a bet to nothing, to be honest.
Yeah, Mellon's form going there is well, Cheltenham form speaks for itself. It's a very, very open betting heat, and you've covered quite a few there at a good each way price. I think it's just a good race, and yeah, it's an each way punter's dream. So it is. Just to allude to our social there, Zoe, who seems to be a keen follower, has said that I missed this one, sorry, but Mattie, she said that even you could win an Envoy Land. So I think that's trying.
Let's not get carried away, Zoe.
I think she's trying to say that he's a banker. And
she obviously don't have a telly. She's never seen me ride.
Prize winner on this one is Daniel Sutton. Gary, if you'd like to tell him what we're saying.
Daniel gets a Garrity autobiography. So Barry Garrity is so well out of us on this stream anyway.
You're promoting him tonight, isn't you, Gary?
Oh, yeah. Well, as I said,
just have a look. Gary, do I get a mention in that book? I must get a mention in that, surely.
Yeah, it's
go to the back of the book. Room. Yeah, go to the back of the book. Look, Batchelor. I've got to be in there somewhere. I've got to be.
If you had had your book out, Matty, obviously we'd be promoting that, but you have to go for the next best thing.
Yeah.
Get it out, and we'll have it here next year, Matty. We'll
have it next year. Yeah.
Every prize will be a Mattie Batchelor signed book.
Mine will just be pictures only.
0 comments.
Don't think anybody wants that, Matty.
Yeah, so that sums up the Thursday, and we'll roll on to Friday, and obviously the blue ribbon event, the big one, the Gold Cup. It's another stellar lineup, and the betting being headed by Willie Mullins, inmate. Album Photo is going for 3 in a row, unbelievably. He's there at 9 to 4. Champ is available at 4 to 1. Plutard, who's been mentioned previously, at 5 to 1. Royal Plage the novice going into this at 8-1, and then it's 11-1 the field after that. Yeah, I think 3 in a row it'll be a huge achievement. Darren, can you see him achieving that?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. The front 3 in the market, they're all really short, and between them they've ran 4 times this season. So Album Photo once, Champ once over 2 miles, and A Plutard has run twice. Album Photo, as a novice, he wasn't a brilliant jumper, and even his 2 Gold Cup wins, he pitched twice. Nearly fell last year. I had him backed, and my heart was in my mouth the whole way around. He wasn't as good as last year. He wasn't as good as he was the year before. It was a kind of a bunch finish. So on the back of that, I was kind of trying to find something against him. Champ, he's had his prep over 2 miles. It's a weird kind of a prep, but Nicky Henderson knows what he's doing. He flew up the hill last year in the RSA. Like, he wasn't even in the camera shot jumping the last. And I don't know, he looked like he had a turn of foot. Initially, I thought that 2 just died in front of him, but in hindsight, I think he actually quickened after the last. A Plutard, again, I kind of ruled him out as a sort of handicapper 2 miler, but the more I looked into it, he won the Close Brothers a few years ago by 16 lengths, but he was entered in the RSA that year, so they obviously thought he was a bit of a stayer. Last year, he kind of got tapped for toe, even though he's beaten Cheltenham Preview over 2 miles. He was tapped for toe, kind of turning around the bend, stayed on a bit in the Ryanair, and then this season stepped up to 3 miles and travelled really well. The front 2 kind of got away, Mellon and Kemboy, and after the last, he really just picked up and flew home the last 100 yards. So I'm going to take a chance on him that he can actually stay the distance. He looks a clean jumper, no issues there, and only a 7-year-old, so might improve. Of the others, I think Native River's too old. Manila Endo just hasn't had a great prep. Santini just looks a bit slow. I know he nearly won last year, but I don't see him winning. So yeah, A Plutard for me.
Yeah, and you'd be a Plutard backer as well, Brian, would you?
Yeah, I fancy A Plutard. Just for I think he's the classiest horse in the race. I mean, he won a Grade 1 over 2 miles at Leopardstown, beating Cheltenham Preview again by 3 lengths. I don't think there's another horse in the field that could do that. I mean, he's very much of the mold of a Size and John and a Cato Star. Obviously not at his level, but still, all horses good enough to win over 2 miles. I don't like Album Photo as a horse. I don't like the way they campaign him. I hope he doesn't win the race for that alone. I'd even question his form of winning the 2 Gold Cups. It's probably just that he's trained by a master who's prepping him bang on the button for the day that's in it. Champ, I question his jumping over the 3 miles, 3.25 miles. Like he clouted fences last year on the Ryanair or in the RSA. In fairness, over 2 miles, he was brilliant jumping the last time. So I wonder, is that a thing when he's going slower? He doesn't have as much respect for his fences. Royal Pagoi is a huge player. He's definitely added a massive dynamic to the race. Kemboy, I think he doesn't act around Cheltenham. If I owned him, I'd be waiting for Aintree and Punchestown. Frodon won't stay. Santini, I just feel he's struggling this year big time. And I'd give Native River a chance. Looks to be back to his best. Again, will need the ground to be slower, but he'll make them all work if he gets into that rhythm with Dickie Johnson taking it up halfway off Bryony Frost and driving on. But for me, the winner will be A Plutard.
Another one in the A Plutard camp there, Gary. Where are your loyalties lie in this one?
Yeah, so first off, it's an unbelievable race. I can't wait to see it. And then you have to say fair play to Rich Ritchie for going down this route with Rob McGall. They could have taken the easy option, gone the National Hunt Chase with him, but I think it's just refreshing to see an owner taking their chance in a flagship race rather than they're just getting any old race around Cheltenham. Even though love Venetia Williams, I think the horse has great form. I won't be backing it because I think it is a step up in class. But if it wins, I won't be disappointed. I agree with Brian on Champ. Don't like his jumping. I think he's too short in the market now to be backing. Couldn't have Manila Indo. Kenboy on form probably brings the best form into the race, but as Brian says, he doesn't handle Cheltenham. And I have the kind of odds grid here in front of me. He's 22s on the exchange, and he's kind of 9s or 10s with the bookie. So that would lead me to believe that he's probably going to be pulled out over the next couple of days. So you can probably chalk him off. So for me, then it comes down to Absolute Hard and Album Photo. I'm slightly siding with Album Photo. I think, back-to-back winner. He's won a slowly run Gold Cup. He's won one at a decent gallop. Kind of goes on any ground. So I'll probably back Album Photo. I do think you'll get bigger than 5-2 on the day because I think a lot of the English money is going to come for Champ and Royal Pagoi. And I think there's going to be a lot of love around for Absolute Hard as well. So I can see Album Photo drifting on the day. If I got 3-1, 7-2, I'd be backing him. 5-2 is probably a bit skinny at the minute. So I'll wait for the day and see what the prices are like.
Just say you're going to hold out and see if Album Photo drifts in the morning.
Yeah,
Matty.
Brian, what do you? Sorry, just before you go on to Mike. Brian, what do you think of that? Do you think he'll shorten or drift, or do you have any opinion on it? Just from
on Album
perspective, on Album Photo, yeah. I just think that there's so many kind of other horses out. Like as you said, he hasn't really caught the public's imagination because he's so lightly raced, and a lot of these, like your Nathan Rivers and your Santinis, they're going to be getting a lot of loyalty money. So that my thinking is he'll drift, but you're the expert, like.
Yeah, look. It's hard to know with these things because of the exchanges. But I don't think you'll see 3-1. I don't. I would imagine between 2-1 and 5-2 will be his price on the off, and it'll all depend on how Willie's week is. If Willie is having a cracking week, they'll steam into him. But yeah, I would project that somewhere between 2 and 5-2 will be his price.
I suppose
I back him now, so.
Brian, that raises the question about the bookie sentiment here, because it's close to the end of the week and it's it's the big race of the week. So that how do you approach it? Like if you're up or down, like what would be the mentality of the bookie?
I suppose, look, you approach it like it's just another race. At the end of the day, like once Cheltenham is over, whatever racing for the English bookies is on Saturday, they're packing up and they're going again. But like, it is the Gold Cup at the end of the day. It's a massive betting race. As I always say, like, depending on what you've turned over, you're going to, like, we'd often say, like, you try to be 2-5 to your money or 1-3 to your money. So if you're holding 300 or 3,000, the horse is a loser for 100 or 1,000. But look, it's a Gold Cup at the end of the day. You're going to have a go with it. There's going to be huge money flying around if there was a betting ring. So yeah, if you're winning, you're steaming on, and if you're losing, you're probably kicking to try and get back in the game. But
so you're taking every bet anyway, regardless.
You're taking this on, like you're taking this on big time. Like there's enough maiden hurdles and bloody 0-90 handicaps going along to say that you have a Grade 1 Gold Cup. Yeah, you have a go like.
Fair enough. Sean Stone came in there with a question: do Native River and Frodon dictate the pace here, and how does that set up the race, Matty? What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, they're two confirmed front runners. I mean, Bryony said there'd be plan A, B, C. Probably with Bryony there'd be D, E, and F as well. But there'd be. I mean, it's always runs the same, doesn't it? Out in front, that's how it's won. So let's not complicate matters. It's interesting that Venetia's run Royal Pagel in the Gold Cup. She obviously thinks that's. I mean, it's looked very impressive. Obviously, Richie Rich probably doesn't want to take on Monkfish, a novice in the Gold Cup. I mean, we all know the last novice of World Gold won the Gold Cup. I don't want to talk about that because it's still a sore subject.
do remind us there, Matty. Do remind us. Who was that?
I can't remember. How far? I don't know.
The stone off his back when he got you dropped off.
He improved no end, didn't he, when he dropped the clown off it? Yeah, I'm a big Plutard fan. I think Champ, I can see why Henderson run him over 2 mile. I thought it was a very astute move. I think he didn't want to run him over 3 mile on the ground that we've had over here, so close to the Gold Cup. So they thought, right, we'll go 2 mile, get a run into him. Good move. But a Plutard for me over the 3-2 trip. I mean, Rachel is going to be buzzing after winning the bumper on Grand G. And we're going to see the first woman win the Gold Cup, and it's going to be brilliant.
I don't think anyone would have any problem with that. That's for sure.
I don't think it'd be soft enough for Native River. I think he needs it.
Yeah.
I think he needs it really soft. I just don't.
Even though his Sandown run was brilliant, but he does need it soft.
Yeah, I think the ground was pretty bad then when he sand down. I think he does. I think he is very ground dependent. I think, and I think he would get tapped for toe. But yeah, I think the extra 2 furlongs, I think, just playing to a Plutard's hand. I was very impressed at the Dublin Festival. As you say, he looked beat, and then he just found an extra gear and went past him. So yeah.
From my own, from Champ, his run in the RSAO sticks in my mind last year. The way he finished off that race, he jumped like a clown. Was lucky to finish the race, but he finished like a train. Looked like he stayed all day. And the run this year was at 2 mile. It was nothing for a staying horse. Like
I thought he jumped better though. Did you think? I thought he jumped well at Newbury.
Yeah, he did, but it doesn't tell us much about a 3 mile 2 horse, but he definitely jumped better. Like, is he he's an unknown here in a certain sense, right?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, you take the run last year in the Sun Alliance, as you say, he's jumped like a clown, but he still won, and he still won well. So going away. And the way he jumped over 2 mile the other day, which everyone thought, over 2 mile, that might just catch him out. But he was so good on his feet. He was clever. And over 3 mile, I think it will come a lot easier for him as well. And he's definitely improved from the Sun Alliance last year. His jumping's improved a hell of a lot. I think you're seeing a different horse. He's just a horse that has learned his job now.
Yeah, Sorry, go ahead.
Would you question the form of the RSA last year? I mean, Manel Indo and Allaho haven't exactly pushed on, especially at Allaho is even dropping back in trip. Manel Indo, he won 2 boat races at the start of the year and fell at Leopardstown at Christmas and ran very disappointingly the last time. So,
I suppose
they went for home a long way out, the 2 of those last year as well. Sorry, Mike, you were going to say something.
I suppose you could say he might have been flattered to deceive then. If he might not have stayed if they went quite early for home. Probably didn't stay, and it probably looked like Champ quickened more than he did, and probably flattered to deceive a little bit maybe. Good point.
Yeah, there's it's a real interesting renewal of the Gold Cup. I think there's lots of chances there. As you've pointed out, I'd be willing to just take a little punt. It's not a big betting race for me, but a little punt on Champ, just because of the unknown aspect.
I think there's a lot more strength in depth. Would you agree than the past 2 Gold Cups?
So probably
I'm not knocking album voters. To win 2 Gold Cups. Listen, that's impressive. But I think this year's Gold Cup, to me, it's just got a little bit more strength in depth, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree. So our prize winner there is off the socials is Michael Jordan. If you wanna tell him what he's won, Gary.
Apart from 10 NBA titles. Our old friend Baza is back. So, Michael, if you want to devalue this, we'll get Mattie to sign it for you and send it on. But the last of the Barry Garrity books.
Oh my God, that's only going to devalue it.
We did have a great comment in there. Is next year we'll be offering as a prize the Mattie Batchelor colouring book. If anyone.
Hold on, paint by numbers.
Oh, great. William Hill have given us a couple of specials to this as well. They've offered us a Champ to win the Gold Cup at 70-1 for new customers, and Album Photo at 25-1 to win for new customers. So they're live on our link tree if anyone has any interest in them. So get on them as well. The next race then would be the Alba Bartlett, the first race on the Friday, the novice hurdle over 3 mile. Usually a very competitive heat, and it's no different this year with an open market. Statler from the Mullins Yard there is 7-2 at the head of the market, followed by Barbados Bucks 11-2, Fakiria at 11-2, and Torygraph at 6-1. It's 7-1 to field in a seemingly open race. Gary, what have you unearthed for this one?
Yeah, so like Fakiria stood out to me a long way out as being a horse ideal for this race. Any race you look that it's running, it's dead on late in the day and kind of flashed home. But I just don't know whether it'd be too far behind to make up the ground, and it might run into a place again. And at the prices, I think it's too short. So I'm happy enough to leave that. I think Barbados Bucks, any of the previews that I've kind of glanced through, there's been a lot of confidence behind him. He's kind of the talking horse of like the preview circuit. But again, he's too short on the market for me based on his form. I think if you look purely at the top of the market, Torygraph is probably the standout horse on form. But in this race, I like to go for an outsider. So the two outsiders that stuck out for me, Ngolo for Willie Mullins. He's been running over 2 miles. That's not his trip. Obviously has stamina to prove, but he's looked like he'll stay over further. It's just hard to know what race he's going to run in, because I think even at this stage, he still has like 5 or 6 different entries. So if he runs here, he's about 20-25-1. I think he's a decent bet. If he doesn't go 3 under through 5, so it's probably a dream for me on the golf course. But yeah, he stood out as a horse. Now he's a front runner, so I'm not too sure whether front runners do that well in this race. But any horse that's tried to get past him has had a hard job. He's stayed on. He hasn't been that flash, but he's shown a lot of staying power, stamina. And I like those horses where when another horse comes to them, they just kick on again. They won't let them past. So I said, Ngolo will be my main bet if he shows up. If he doesn't, 3 under through 5 at about 16s, 18s.
That's a nice each way punt again from you, Gary. Matty, anything take your fancy in this race?
I've gone for a little bit of an outsider. I think it's about 12-1. It's the Tom Lacey Adramel. He ran in last year's bumper there. He's not a 2 mile horse. He won at Sandown over 2 mile. Didn't jump great. Took a lot of the hurdles home with him. Went to Haydock, done the same thing. And then they stepped him up to the Grade 2 at Warwick over 2.5. And he only won a neck, but his jumping improved. So I think he'll improve again for the step up to 3 mile. I think it'll help him a lot. And listen, for a horse to win over 2 mile and not jump great, as I say, he took most of the hurdles home with him. And I think they might have put a hood on him at Warwick, I think. And Dickie said it helped his jumping a lot. And I just think the longer trip with him will help him a lot. He looks like he has got a bit of an engine. Tom Lacey's very cute on him, but I think the step up in trip's going to help him. I just think he's a big price at 12-1 for me.
Another nice each way punt there for anyone watching on and listening in. Brian, anything stick out to you here?
Yeah, it's a wide open race. I suppose one that I fancied would be Torygraph from the now Denise Foster yard. I like horses that win in Thurles that going on to Cheltenham, especially from the Elliott yard.
A local track for you, right?
Local track, but it has produced Cheltenham winners in the past. Like, what's his name? A horse that won the Martin Pipe in Gigginstown's. Oh, I can't think. Blow by Blow, that one, and there was another one as well that won a Thurles that went on. But Torygraph for me, he won over 3 miles in Thurles, and he hated Thurles. It's a tight turning track. Wouldn't play to his strengths at all, and just seems an out-and-out galloper. So Choreograph for me.
Yeah, another a decent pick there at 6-1. Darren, is there anything you'd be willing to back in this race?
No, I'm not even going to watch it. I hate this race.
That's you win the prize. Have we a prize there, Gary, for answer of the night? That's perfect. That's perfect. Short.
He's put that in his microphone on mute. Like, is that enough?
Nothing more to do with this discussion. Through that race. Oh, brilliant. We've had a comment in from, firstly from Zoe saying that Admiral will stay longer than Mattie's neighbour. Mattie, can you allude to that?
Well, she's a Scandinavian beauty.
He's getting personal here now.
Oh yeah, we'll tone it down for the PG viewers. And Jason Midman has come in with Streets of Doyen on good ground, surely worth a punt. Small training setup under the radar. I can't speak to this myself.
I actually looked at Streets of Doyen, and he won at the November meeting. Stead on well. Johnson won on that time, so I think he does have a decent each way shout, but I think he needs the race to fall apart a little bit. Would be my thinking. If I don't know whether he's up to this level of form. He's a decent handicapper. He won that race at Cheltenham, so he handles it. But there's probably one or two better in here. I think Brian, you'd probably know him better than me though.
Yeah, he's John McConnell's horse. He actually went to Cheltenham and won there in October, so he's obviously been put away.
October, yeah.
Yeah, he went down and ran in Naas behind Echo Rain and Belfast Banter. This type of race, normally experience is a good thing for it, plenty of runs. So yeah, I wouldn't put anyone off him. There's another horse in it of Gavin Cromwell's, Van Illier. He actually beat Statler in a maiden hurdle. Statler being a 4-7 shot, Van Illier 130 on the day. Albeit it was Statler's first run and might have been often, you seem to find Willie's horses still lack for fitness on their first run. It seems to be the way he trains them. But maybe him one is favourite at 4 or 5 to 1, whatever he is, and the other Van Illier is 20 to 1. So maybe that might be another little each way play.
Yeah, some nice each way picks there. All right, lads. In another seemingly open race, our winner of the prize on this one is, let me just grab it for a second. Is John Murphy. Sorry about that. Gary, would you like to tell him what he's won?
So we're back to the baseball cap. So Injured Jockey Funds baseball cap.
Thanks, Gary. John, comment in and we'll get that out to you during the week. Last big race of the week for us grade one for us to cover is the Triumph Hurdle, the 4-year-old 2-mile race on Friday. Zenir from this now stable of Denise Foster is heading the market with Tritonic from Alan King vying for favouritism with that. It's Zenir is 7 to 4. Tritonic is 2 to 1. Quiliaxis, who Brian has mentioned earlier, is 4 to 1. 7 to 1 Adagio and 14 to 1 the field. A race that will stick in the mind of many from last year with Goshen coming down at the last in the Triumph. Matty, I think you're sweet on an English horse in this one, are you?
Tritonic, yeah, good flat horse, rated 99 on the flat. Alan King's very good dual-purpose trainer. It come out and won at Ascot. All right, sort of only won, I think it was a length, not much. But then last time in the Kempton, in the Adonis, he travelled well, he jumped well, and he cleared away and won 10 lengths. And it's quite a good performance for me, and it impressed me, yeah. So, and he knows how to win a Triumph. I think Penzance and Catch It are his Triumph winners. So he knows what type of horse it takes to win it, and he's sending it there, and I think he's got a really good chance. Yeah,
would you see much value in the 2 to 1 that's currently available about him? Would you be willing to take him at that price?
I think, yeah, with the other horses, 7 to 4, 2 to 1. Yeah, I think it's not a bad price for him, to be honest. I think he's got a hell of a chance. Favourite, I might have sort of maybe not, but a 2-1 with their last performance. He travelled and you've got to jump in a Triumph. That's another race where they go lickety split, and I think the only time they never went quick in it, I actually had a ride in it, and they use the old jockey cams with the cameras.
Yeah.
So there was no pace in a Triumph, which is unheard of, right? So I've never had so many lads come up to me to talk to me. My horse is 150-1. It won round Huntingdon, right? So then, you gonna make it? I went, yeah, don't you worry, boys, I'm gonna make it. No problem, no worries. All they wanted was someone to go gallop. So the fella with the camera, he says, Batch, you wear a camera? I said, yeah. He said, right, we don't normally have a microphone on it, but we're going to put a microphone on you. I said, yeah, no worries. I'll give you a bit of commentary on the way round. So I've bounced out. I've made the run in. So about 4 out, I'm still in front. I'm going, all right, boys. Yeah, I'm not going too bad. I'm 4 out. I'm still in the lead in the Triumph. And then all of a sudden, I've heard these boys from behind me, Batch, can you give me a bit of room? I was like, yeah, come on. So I've let loads of people up me in. Then they're all coming past me, and like got to the third last, and I went, "Come on, boys, come past me. I don't want to push this anymore. I'm done. I'm finished." We can hear all this on the microphone live in the
way. Could you find that video on YouTube? I suppose, would you?
I'll have to find that. Yeah, after us, who's got it? Yeah.
We'll try it.
Everyone's asking for room, and I'm just saying, "Yeah, come on, I'll let you pass. Not a problem." If the trainer and the owner had seen it, I would have got the sack.
And you wonder why you're not on Grangie in the bumper, huh?
Yeah, but Grangie's got a real good chance. This was a 250-1 shot.
Yeah, would you be in the same camp, Brian, in this race?
Yeah, I'm definitely with Matty on this. This would be my bet of the meeting. I mean, 99 rated off the flat. Like, there's not too many as high rated as him would come hurdling, and like, you couldn't still say he was improving at 99. Like, 99 mightn't be his ceiling. Albeit it's a cracking Triumph. Zana here is obviously a very good horse. Was seriously impressive in Fairy House in November and went on to Leopardstown over Christmas and won a Grade 2. Wasn't probably as impressive that day, but still got the job done easily. I think he's, judging by interviews and listening to Jack Kennedy and Gordon Elliott, they were full sure Zana here was the best of their two, so been better than Quilixios. So that was knock Quilixios out for me. I don't think Adagio is good enough. He bet a horse of Gary Moore's in Chepstow, and he went down. The Gary Moore horse went on and got smashed by a horse of Paul Nichols that isn't even running in this.
Was that Nasalam of Gary's?
Nasalam, yeah, Nasalam.
Yeah.
I just think these are two proper horses at the top. But Tritonic, I watched that race. I always thought he was going to pick up Casalupi the first day in Ascot. And even though he just got him, like, won a length, but I always felt he was going to get. I like Heskin as a jockey, but even the last day, as much as he paddled through one or two hurdles, he lost no ground after him. He straight back up and moving. And when he jumped one's right, he was real low and quick, exactly what you want for a 2 mile hurdle horse. And yeah, and the way he hit the line the last day, visually it was a real impressive performance. So Tritonic for me.
Another one in the Tritonic camp. Anything else catch your eye here, Darren?
I actually like one of Willie Mullins's. He ran on the flat in a Grade 1 in Germany in his last run. And if you look, he's been ran once over hurdles. He literally pulled for 1.5 miles and he managed to finish second. Still hurdled well the last two. Tio Putty, I think, is the Elliott horse that he finished second to. He's 25-1. The race is cut up to 12 runners. I'm definitely going to back him. That's
tax for Max, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. A big each way price there. I suppose he's kind of thrown in really, but it's the Triumph hurdle, yeah, and he could be anything, right?
Yeah, running in kind of Group 1 races in Germany. Like, I know they're not great, but he did contest like Group 2s as well. So they obviously think, he's a decent horse over there. But watch that race. I've never seen a horse pull so hard for so long and manage to kind of run a reasonable race. So I was surprised he was 25-1. Willie has 2 in the race. Another one that's just ran once in France. So yeah, he'll do for me.
That's a nice price chance there. One that seems to be thrown in. Gary, can you do you have any fancies here?
I'm with the lads on Tritonic. I was blown away by the last run. The way he hit the line, that you'd have no doubts from getting up the hill. As Brian went through the flat form. So yeah, I think he's great. Like the fact that they've been flip-flopping favourites, and that every time Tritonic has gone favourite, money has come for Zana here. I think that tells you, to Brian's point, how much the Elliott stable fancy Zana here. But visually, Tritonic for me. Again, just Alan King afterwards. After they done this, he actually got quite emotional when he was talking about it. Normally he's kind of a cool person being interviewed, but he was nearly crying when he was doing the interview, and I think that kind of tells a story in itself. So yeah, Tritonic for me as well.
Yeah, he's pretty strong in the market, but Darren is well. Firstly, Brian's a lot better at pronouncing the ones in the market than me, because I struggled with 2 of them, 3. Brian has them nailed, and that's the Bookie coming out in him, and I haven't a clue how to say them. But I like Darren's angle there of the 25-1. It could be anything. So if anyone's looking for value, I think it's worth a little punt in a race that maybe Manny wouldn't have a large bet in anyway. So yep. Our prize winner there is Russ Watkins. Gary, what have we left for him? Surely a Mattie Batchelor signed book.
No, so it's the last of the snoods. So that's on its way. This is the last prize of the evening as well. So thanks for everybody who's commented in. Still keep them coming, questions coming, etc. But that's the last of the prizes, unfortunately.
Yeah, so that's the prize, and thanks to everyone for their interaction on the socials. It's been eventful. Some very humorous comments there too. I think Zoe, I don't know what attachment she has to you, Matty, but she wants you to sign her Barry Garrity book too if you get a chance. So
yeah, no problem. Just shall I put my number on it as well?
Wait, she's watching. We'll wait for that comment back in if we can.
Okay. Call me, don't call me.
Right, enough of the matchmaking. We'll move on to just to touch on the cross country. Is there any strong opinions here? Is this a swan song maybe for Tiger Roll? Can he win this and go into retirement, or is Easyland probably, is he too good for most here? He's even money. Potter's Corner's 11-2. Tiger Roll's 11-2. Does he deserve to be that short? Come neck 10-1, and then it's 14-1 the field. Gary, have you any opinion here?
I back Tiger Roll basically just for a loyalty bet, but yeah, it's not a race I normally get involved in too much. I think the only time I actually had a proper bet and it was Balthazar King probably 10 years ago at this stage. So yeah, I'd like to see Tiger Roll win it. I think Easylands is the best horse. If the Easylands last year turns up, he'll probably win it 10-15 lengths. I said Tiger Roll just for heart over head, and as I said, I think if he did win it, they'd retire him. I know O'Leary came out and said that he might even run next season, but I can't see that now after the whole Grand National saga. So yeah, Tiger Roll, but it wouldn't be any firm form kind of analysis there. More heart over head. Yeah, just a nostalgia bet. I'd be tempted myself. Matty, is it a race you get involved in?
No, I think Easyland a win. I've managed to go halfway around it.
You've been half involved.
Involved. I got half involved, and then just dropped off the side of one. I think the horse of LeBrew, Keelan Woods. He said, yeah, he's run well in the Warwick Chase there, and he just looks like he needs a little bit of change of scenery. And I was talking to Keelan the other day, and you have to take them down to Cheltenham, and you have to school over about 4 or 5 fences just so you can prove that they won't sort of stop. Or so he went round it. I think he had to jump the banks, the poles, and he said he really sort of he came alive a little bit and just sort of reinvented him a little bit. So he could. I think he's about a 14-1 shot. It's just one of those old horses now that needs something different to do, and he just seemed to take to it like a duck to water. So he could run well at a big price, but I think they've all got to go to beat Easyland for me.
Brian, would you be in the Easyland camp too?
Yeah, Dave. Like, it's not really a race now. You'd like to be putting, as a bookie, you'd like to be putting your head in the line, but like I wouldn't worry about the last run if I was punting them. That wouldn't worry me at all. The callers, they could do anything. They'll have them ready for Wednesday. I suppose one I'd take a little flyer with would be Balco de Flo, in the hope that he gets sweetened up with these. But like, at least he's been running in grade 1s and grade 2s. Like, he's been contesting fair races, albeit getting well beaten, but he's still running in decent races, and maybe just easier competition might bring a bit of life back to him, but that'd be only a small bet.
And then it's not a race that piques your interest, Darren, is it?
No, it's one of the races that I say I'm not going to have a bet in every year, and about 2 minutes before it goes off, I back something. But
back save. So you'll be all on Easyland.
But what Brian said there, when I was watching the Savile Chase again there during the week, Balco de Flo caught my eye in the race, so I was checking what entries he had. I was surprised to see him entered in this race, so I'll probably take a punt on him. He travelled really nicely in that race. He was well beaten for a finish. He's a former Ryanair champion, so he has the class. Don't know if the distance will suit, but I'd probably stick 20 quid in him at 16-1.
A nice each way punt there. Yeah, same with me. I'm in agreement with Gary here. It's a head over heart thing, or heart over head. Like you want to see Tiger Roll win, a little punt on him, but the head says Easyland because as per Brian, disregard the last run, but the cross country is always a good watch. So it's a nice one to touch on. What I'll do here, lads, is I'll open the floor. There's three mares races there. There's Novice, there's the Mares Hurdle, and there's the Mares Chase. I'm not sure, Gary, if anything interests you across them three races.
Well, not really in the Tuesday Mares Hurdle. Concertista will probably win it, but it's probably a race I won't have a bet in. The Mares Novice, I'm fairly sweet on Glens of Antrim there. So she has form with Blue Lord. She finished second to Blue Lord. She finished in behind Statler, and then finished close up by Mr. Incredible. I think they're three decent runs. So even though she hasn't won, I think they're decent runs. Now the price has kind of gone. She was 16-1 last week. She's 7-1 now. I'm on at 16, so I'm fairly happy with that. The one kind of danger in there is Hook Up, the Willie Mullins horse. It flew home at the Dublin Racing Festival in, I think it was the Appreciated race, to finish third or fourth there. And it's in around 5-1. So I think she'd be a danger, but Glens of Antrim, as I said, is it. And I haven't done it, but I might double it up with Ellie May in the Mares Chase. I think that Mares Chase is a flip of a coin between Ellie May and Shattered Love, but I think Ellie May probably has the more appealing profile there. That's it from me on the mares.
Brian, anything catch your eye amongst the mares?
Nothing really caught my eye, but I think in the mares on the Tuesday, the hurdle, I think the price difference between Concertista and Roxana, there's too much between them. Roxana's a fair mare now. She probably could question his 3 miles or better trip, but like Concertista, now people do say Concertista should be in the champion hurdle, but like Roxana is a fair tool, and she'll serve it up to her. And I fancy Shattered Love in the Mares Chase on, I think it's the last or second last race at the festival. I think former festival winner, ran well the last day against Ellie May over 2 miles, step up and trip, taking on Ellie May again, but I fancy Shattered Love to reverse it.
And then Matty, anything from you on the mares angle?
Just the Mares Chase. I thought I'd been impressed with her, Ellie May. and I don't think Shattered Love would be able to turn the form around because she beat her 5.5 lengths. So yeah, Ellie May for me in the chase, I think.
And Darren, have you any opinion across the 3 races?
No.
So this would be your type of punt, Darren, no?
No, I've something against the mares. I don't know.
Just don't trust them.
No,
You must have got burned by Apple's Jade or any power, did you?
It's actually stemmed from the flat, and from there it's continued into the national hunt. So I don't really pay close attention to mares.
Jeez, man to hold a grudge, eh? But yeah, we'll leave it there for the mares. There's a few nice punts in there. I suppose that there's multiple notable handicaps over the week, lads. Too many to cover outright individually. I mean, but would you like? There's surely some value lying within the races. Mattie, have you seen anything there that would take your fancy across the week in any of the big handicaps?
I like the right in the Ultima on the first day for Harriet Graham, third behind Surname in the Charlie Hall, second in the Ladbroke, third in the Ladbroke, and then second up at Donny the other day. I feel sorry for the fella Callum. He can't ride it now. I think he's been banned, so Richard Johnson takes over. He's unlucky at Doncaster. He just dropped his stick after the last, I think. I'll give that a good chance. And on the Wednesday, the Emmett Mullet trained the shunter, the one up at Kelso the other day under Alan Crawley. I think that'll have a good chance in the Coral Cup on the Wednesday. They're my 2 handicap picks.
And Darren, you unearthed anything out of the handicaps across the week?
Yeah, I like Spirit of the Games in the Pretense. So he hadn't ran over hurdles for 3 years, but I ran in a qualifier there a few weeks ago. Set out the back, jumped, hurdled slickly, travelled smoothly, finished second. So first run over 3 miles. He's around the festival a good few times, always at over 2.5. The comment is always kept on or ran on. This has definitely been a plan in the making for quite some time. His hurdle mark is a few pounds lower than his chase mark. I strongly fancy him. There's another Willie Mullins Blue Sari. So he ran in the bumper a few years ago against Envoy Allen, just pipped. Next season then he won a maiden hurdle beating the Boss's Oscar. He's the favourite for the Pertemps. And then his next 2 runs were in Grade 1 company. He ran poorly in both of them. He was off for a year, and then he came back in the Dublin Festival this year. Ran no sort of a race, but he's running off 138. So he's in the Carl Cup in the County Hurdle. If he turns up in one of them, I'll be backing him. And maybe Sully Dock. He's just a lightly raced chaser. He's entered in 2 races, the Johnny Henderson and the Plate. He was beaten by Clondalk Castle the last day, sprawled after the last. Clondalk Castle went on to win a Grade 3, finished second in 2 Grade 2s. As the races have gone on, his jumping has got better. So he's been kept off for definitely a shot at one of the races here. He's 20-1. So they're my 3.
Nice each way picks there and some interesting angles. Gary, I'm sure you've picked out a couple across the week too.
Yeah, so kind of one each day. So Riviere de Tal in the Fred Winter looks an improver. Won a maiden very well, looked really good that day, and then wasn't beaten far by the Devil's Coachman last time out. Was slightly hampered in that race. I think he'll have a good go off at 12-1. One that I've been watching for the Coral Cup for a long time is Saint Sonnet for Paul Nichols. So, I mean, if you look at his chase form this year, it's absolutely abysmal. So you couldn't fancy him on that. But I know they really like the horse. He ran well for a good while in the Marsh last season and then finished tailed off. I was hoping they'd stick a claimer on it. So I have him back anti-post. And I was hoping to see Angus Cheleta on here claiming 7. But it looks like they're going to put Compton aboard, which slightly dampens how kind of aggressive I'd be on it. But I still think he has a good chance, 33-1, definitely of making the frame. The Pertemps, Mrs. Milner, so she's closely matched with the Boss's Oscar. She gets a bit more weight here. He should go well. And then Eclair de Beaufort in the county. So decent Cheltenham form. Even a second here in the Grand Annual last year. hurdles mark is £18 below a chase mark. I probably have is it Dylan Moran, the claimer on board. It claims 5, so that'll bring it to like £23 below its chase mark. 16-1 looks a great bet. So the 4 of those stick out to me.
Thanks, Gary and Brian. I'm sure from being a bookie, you've spotted some value across the week.
Yeah, just like I'd always liked the novices from Ireland going over into the handicaps in England, and just 2 that stood out for me were, well, there is a few, but like 2 that I'll mention. Paddy of Willie Mullins's. He's in the Martin Pipe and the county. I hope he goes in the county because I fancy another one in the Martin Pipe. But yeah, Patty in the county. Like, he was second behind the Real Deal in the Moscow Flyers, which is the Supreme Novice Hurdle, and like really got drawn into a pace battle following Echoes and Ray, and she went mental, and the Real Deal just picked them all off. And then it ran in the Grade 1 novice race behind Gallier de Mesnil. Didn't stay, just whatever, 3 miles or whatever it was. Didn't stay, so drop back down to 2 miles. I'd like that. And I like a horse of Gavin Cromwell's in the Martin Pipe called Gabby Nacco. Again, graded form behind Bob Ollinger. Ran in a handicap at the Dublin Racing Festival over 2 miles. He's not a 2-miler, he needs further. So I'd say they were just buried him and tried to get him a bit of handicap experience. And I hope a good conditional Conor McNamara will ride him, and he'd do for me.
Some very nice, tasty prices there. The handicaps, hopefully everyone got a hold of them. We can post them again later in the week anyway. That's just to, like, I'd just like to get a view as to your nap of the week now. Just the one bet, if you were forced, if your hand was forced, Gary, who would it be?
Well, Monkfish, but that's fairly unoriginal, so I'll say Abracadabras instead.
Abracadabras in the Champion Hurdle. Darren, who would be your if you were only having one bet of the
Spirit
week?
of the Games.
Each way there in handicap. Matty?
Win only, he said.
Win only.
During the games.
Oh, okay, all right.
This is my nap, like.
Fair enough. Can't argue with it.
Steering clear from the obvious ones, I'll go with a Plutard.
In the Gold Cup.
In the Gold Cup,
then,
yeah.
And Brian,
I was between a Plutard and Tritonic, and seeing as Matty has taken a Plutard, I'll stay with Tritonic.
There's a little lucky 15 nap, lucky 15 for anyone if they want it. And speaking of bets, then we have £25 charity bets. We're going to cover just before we do a little Q&A with Matty at the end. Matty, would you like to say what your charity bet will be and who the winnings will be donated to?
Can I have a 25 quid treble? Is that right?
Yep, it's whatever you want to do.
So I'll have Shishkin, Monkfish, Envoy Allen, and I'd like to put it to the Injured Jockey Fund.
Good, man. That's what we like to hear.
If it comes in, we go half and half. The Irish Jockey Fund and the English Jockey Funds. We'll make it.
At those prices, there'd be hardly anything to go half and half with, man.
I'm just trying to be nice. All right. That's it. We'll just have it over here then. Injured Jockey Fund. That's fine.
Darren, what was your charity bet for the week?
Spirit of the Games, Milford Hospice.
Straight up. £25 on the nose. That's the stuff. Probably comes to more than Matty's treble anyway. Gary, what'll be your charity bet and where will it be going?
I'm going to do a each way double, 12.50 each way double, Abracadabras and Beacon Edge, and the Royal Hospital for Neuro Disability.
Nice one. A nice tasty each way double there. Hopefully that lands. And Brian, what will be your bet and where will it be going?
My bet, just to try and get a few quid, will be a double with Tritonic and Plutard, and the charity will be Cry Ireland. CRY Ireland.
Nice one. Thank you, lads. That's I think we have some questions in, Matty, just regarding like you and your position as a jockey. so you can give us a pretty unique view to the viewers. So if you wouldn't mind just addressing just quickly some questions that have come in throughout the night. Let me just. Who do you think? Well, I suppose this one could be, the toughest challenge for a jockey during race week. I think it's a pretty broad question, but it came in on YouTube, I believe.
What, Cheltenham week? We're talking about Cheltenham week. I suppose if you're someone as like Paul Townend, who's got a lot of good rides, you would like to get a couple of winners on the board the first day. If you're having a bad week, I remember one year Dickie Johnson, he was having a shocking week, and like Dickie is the most laid back, sit down, chat to you all the time throughout the week. But like Cheltenham, do you know when someone's just having no luck whatsoever, and you're just like, we just leave him to it. And then Friday, it all changed. He won the Gold Cup on Native River, and it was just all good again. But so yeah, it all depends how your week starts. If it starts off good, any jockey would take one winner there and be happy. But if you go there with a lot of fancied rides and nothing, it all starts going wrong. It can be a very different and dark and lonely place. I've never been in that position, by the way.
And I suppose, just from my own personal viewpoint, you rode Coney Gree when he was younger, and you rode him in a few races. We'll not get into the politics of it, but did you know he was a potential Gold Cup horse from a young age, or what was your feeling there?
Sorry, I had a bad connection. What did you say? Do you want to talk about Carruthers? Did you? I didn't hear what you said before that. I strictly said, have you not read the contract? I said, we've gone all night. We haven't mentioned the C word. And then boom. No, I'm only joking. No, he was when we first got it, I think I won a bumper on him at Utoxeter, and he ran really well. He won easy. Then we went straight to a novice hurdle in Utoxeter. Then we went to a grade 2 at Cheltenham. I thought, well, this is a big step up. And when he first won the grade 2, and then he won the second grade 2 at Cheltenham, I thought then at Utoxeter, I was like, God, this feels like the real deal. He was by far the best horse I ever sat on, and I'd been lucky enough to sit on Carruthers, but he was a different type of horse. He was just a little bit. He was much more classier. And then when he went and done that at Cheltenham over hurdles, and then he was wrong a little bit, didn't really run well at Cheltenham. And then, of course, after his chasing career, I wasn't with the Bradstocks anymore. And he always promised to go on to be something special. He always gave it. I was lucky enough to sit on some nice horses in my time. I'd rode out for Henrietta Knight a lot, and I was lucky to sit on Best Mate, ride him out a couple of times, but never in a race. But you never get the same sort of feeling. But him in a race, he was just absolutely pure class, by far the best horse I ever sat on.
It's good to hear. What else have you got to set him for the? Well, I suppose no one knew he was going to win as an office, but
Jeez, are you going to try and make him cry, PK? Come on, Jesus.
Listen.
Make you cry earlier.
It's one of those things. It's like I started riding for the Bradstocks, and it was pure luck. One day I was at Fontwell, and they had a spare ride. Someone couldn't ride it, and the valets went out and said, "Oh, there's Mattie Batchelor or Andrew Thornton," and they didn't have a clue who I was. So they used Andrew Thornton that day, and they wasn't happy with the ride. They gave it, and then I think he ran a couple of weeks later at Newbury, and my agent, I had the same agent as Andrew Thornton, and they didn't want him, and he said, "Well, don't give Matty a try," and it ran okay. And then, listen, I had a good relationship with them, and I'll be eternally grateful for what they've done. Listen, I won a Hennessy for them. I finished 4th in the Gold Cup. They gave me a festival winner. They gave me a spin over the national fence in the Topham, which I always wanted to do. So, listen, they gave me my best days in racing, and I was one of the first to ring them up and congratulate them. So you can't hold grudges in this game, and I was just thankful for what they gave me.
Fair enough. Matty, I know you're used to riding horses, but I think we have a picture from the archives here. Speaking of Matty and picks, of you mounting one of our panelists at a race meeting one time.
It's the best ride he's had at Cheltenham.
Was that at Cheltenham? Would you care to digress more on the circumstances of the photo?
I think, if I remember correctly, that was the year that Fiona won the bumper. So what would that probably be? 2016, 2017, and Mattie kindly invited us into a party afterwards, myself and friend Neil, and a few drinks later he was up on my back. So yeah, go crack.
Good times. It was in the final furlong bar, wasn't it?
The final furlong bar, yeah. So I don't know whether we were all there legitimately or not, but
no.
That's a story for another
I think I got you in for free. I think you had to buy a ticket for 35 quid, but me being me, I blagged us in and we got in for nothing.
That's right.
Good banter. All right, lads. I think that about wraps it up from the discussion point of view. I'd like thank you all for your time tonight, lads. It was a great discussion and some great points put up there. Thank you very much. And happy punting throughout the week. I'd just like to remind everyone about the William Hill specials we have. The bet 10 get 50, the bet 10 get 40 and 20 in the casino, and then the 60-1 about Appreciate It and Man City on Tuesday if you think they're both going to win. We mentioned a few specials throughout the show as well, Chance on Bourgeois, Camp and Album Photo. So they're all up on our link tree if anyone's looking for them. Click there. Anyone new mobile customers will be able to avail of them offers. From Sports Rundown, we'd just like to thank everyone that tuned in and integrated in the show and put some feedback in there and some comments. All the panelists here. Obviously, you can follow us at any of our socials and join our live stream next Friday if you care to. Don't forget we have a free competition as well, tipping competition for Cheltenham during the week. So it's £200 in prizes to the winner. So it's well worth joining for free. And just get in by Tuesday before the first race and you'll be entered.
Did Zoe get back?
Zoe did. Matty, you're an absolute hero because Zoe said she would like that book. Send her signed by Mattie Batchelor, number in tow as well.
Boom.
Absolutely. Well, I never thought. I didn't see any matchmaking happening here tonight, but lo and behold, we were the first Cheltenham Preview night to do that anyway. Yeah, like to thanks everyone and happy punting this week, lads. Thanks for everything and good night.
Thanks. Best of luck, lads.
Thanks.
Best of luck.